Right, Brandon, it's an honour.
Nesian Footy.
I really wanted to make a difference, I guess, in the Pacifica communities.
The biggest stories and most exciting Pacifica talent in the rugby league and rugby union worlds.
Hosted by myself, Tiniro Arona, who bleeds rugby league, and union diehard Sam Wags.
We'll argue about which code is better, chat women's footy, and hear from plenty of Nesian athletes.
Nesian Footy. Find it on the ABC Listen app, and if you're in the Pacific, wherever you get your podcasts.
ABC News. Good evening. I'm Melissa Polomini. Commuters are being warned to expect delays in the city, with train services only just resuming after they came to a standstill earlier. Trains had stopped running between Flinders Street and Southern Cross stations and through the City Loop due to a police incident. That incident has now been resolved, but delays of up to 1 hour are expected. Environment groups are hailing the ban of gas connections in all new Victorian homes as a win for the climate. Beth Gibson reports.
From January 1st next year, planning permits for new homes and residential subdivisions will only connect to all electric networks. Environmental groups have welcomed the move to reduce Victoria's reliance on gas, which currently makes up 17% of the state's emissions. But CEO of Environmental Victoria, Jonathan Lenoz, says Victorians need more support to transition.
Lowering the upfront cost of electrification is something we really need government assistance with.
The government says going all electric will save new homeowners $1,000 on energy bills annually.
The AFL's chief medical officer says the league is in the process of developing specific helmets that cater to the dangers of the sport. Christian Silver has more.
During a coroner's inquest, Dr Michael McDeasy was quizzed about measures the AFL is taking to ensure player safety at all levels, especially protecting the head. While some players choose to wear rugby-style soft-shell helmets, Dr McDeasy said the AFL was working with manufacturers on new designs that were specific to its game. He said on-field trials could take place in the next couple of years. While it's a long way off happening, Dr McDeasy said the league would consider making the helmets compulsory if conclusive evidence showed they improved player safety.
Liberal Senator Simon Birmingham has accused Labor of playing politics over its decision to reintroduce its Housing Australia Future Fund bill to Parliament next week unchanged. The Coalition and the Greens joined forces in the Senate last month, delivering the Albanese government its first major parliamentary defeat. If the Senate refuses to pass the legislation again, it gives the government a trigger to send Australians to the polls early. Simon Birmingham has again ruled out supporting the bill, accusing the government of a political stunt.
We don't think this is good policy. This will add billions of dollars of debt and do nothing at all to help in terms of home ownership in Australia. And the only reason, the singular and only reason to reintroduce it to the House of Representatives is for the government to set up a double dissolution trigger.
An investigation continues into a double fatal plane crash at the Caboolture airfield north of Brisbane. A man and a woman in their 60s died when their light plane, which was taking off, collided in mid-air with another plane that was landing. The other pilot, a man aged about 70, wasn't seriously injured. Matthew Davis from the Queensland Ambulance Service says there was little paramedics could do.
When we assessed both of those occupants, they were both unfortunately deceased on scene. Obviously, it's an extremely traumatic incident, both for bystanders and first responders alike. Our hearts certainly go out to family.
Overseas typhoon Doksuri has made landfall in China after bringing deadly landslides to the Philippines and gale force winds to Taiwan. East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood reports.
By the time it made it to China, it had re-strengthened again, and it was once again classified as a super typhoon. So there's incredible vision on the news in China at the moment of heavy rain and gales bringing down power lines, knocking over trees. The wind speeds were clocked as high as 137 kilometres an hour. There's factories and shopping centres have been closed, and a lot of workplaces and schools in several coastal cities have been closed as well. More than 416,000 people in Fujian province have been evacuated to safe places.
Now to sport. Former North Melbourne captain Jack Ziebell has called time on his AFL career. The 32-year-old from country Victoria has played 276 games and captained the Kangaroos for several seasons, often winning the competition's Most Courageous Player award. To the weather, there's a strong wind warning for the West Coast and the Central Coast. For the state tomorrow, patchy morning fog in the north, partly cloudy with isolated showers mainly about the southwest and the central and eastern ranges. For Melbourne, partly cloudy tomorrow, a top of 18. Sunday, showers increasing 18. Monday and Tuesday, partly cloudy 16. It's currently 15 degrees. ABC News.
You'll always find top drama on ABC iView.
Tell me what you got.
Always intriguing with The Messenger and Smother.
I don't know who to trust anymore.
People think I'm a psycho. Always dramatic with Vandervalk and In Our Blood.
She really doesn't like you. The world needs beautiful things right now.
And always different with In Limbo, Bay of Fires, and so much more.
I'm back for an encore.
A surprise holiday.
You'll always find the best drama.
Happy.
Streaming for free on ABC iView.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
AFL.
What a stage. This game is coming to life.
The 2023 AFL Premiership season.
The roar will tell you the story. Fans are on their feet.
This game is electric.
Holds his arms out wide and tells them to get excited. Oh, the home fans like that. What a game. It's got everything. On the run. It's happening again. It's a whole new game.
Cause here it comes.
One bounce at 60, one bounce at 40, one bounce at 20, and he goes.
He plays on from 52 out. The package bangs it through.
Something big is coming.
On the left boot, he's welcome to the big time moment.
Something big is coming.
Turn steady, go.
The 2023 AFL Premiership season.
Durham to win it. Goal.
Fill your lungs, are you ready for it?
Gets onto it, and away it goes.
Tapped it twice with his left hand, gathered in the right forward pocket. That is brilliant.
Here they come.
That's class. Oh, he's a star. What a game. Brilliant.
He goes.
This kid is going places.
Hand pass to Sarong. Sarong pulls the trigger. Boom. Rioli with some magic. The check side finish. He seizes the moment. Curls it around. What about that?
Hand pass to Elliott. Back to Hill. Superb finish.
55 out. He's given this 20. That's a magnificent strike of the football.
He dribbles it along the ground for an incredible goal.
Grimes goes long. High altitude fly from Showbolt. Snap from 35 and boy does he love it.
Good by Humphrey. Here's Humphrey to put the Suns 8 points clear.
To take the lead. It never looked like missing.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL button. Something big is coming, I know.
Two of the competition's in-form teams, Carlton on a 5-game winning sequence, Collingwood, who have lost twice all year, coming off a win against Port Adelaide last Saturday night. These two teams renew one of the game's oldest and most storied rivalries. It is Collingwood versus Carlton under the Friday night lights in front of an estimated crowd of 85,000 at the MCG. Quite beautifully, the last time they met in the back end of a year was, of course, round 23 last season, where it was Collingwood who kept Carlton out of the finals race. They sat 9th at the end of the home and away season, having spent every other round inside the top 8. And as they meet again for another late season contest, it is the top of the table Magpies up against the 9th place Carlton Football Club, who are trying to nab a spot inside the top 8. Let's see how real their surge is tonight up against the best team in footy. Corbin Middlemass with you in commentary. There is no late change at the MCG, which means Patrick Cripps is not only named, But he's out there and warming up after suffering that corky 2 weeks ago. Didn't play against the West Coast Eagles, barely trained all week. But he and Chera will both take their place in Carlton's starting team. To call the footy with me this afternoon is... this afternoon, the sun is set. It is this evening. It is Friday night. The lights are on for a reason. Kelly Underwood's here. Hello, Kel.
Oh, hi, Corbin. Melbourne just loves to label itself the sporting capital of Australia. In fact, I think a couple of years ago, Melbourne was given the title of the sporting capital of the world. And here's why, because I come into this commentary box tonight with some extra bounce. This precinct has already started to buzz. Friday night, Collingwood Carlton at the MCG, two great rivals, a game that sold out a fortnight ago. Tomorrow night, it's the All Blacks and the Wallabies, first to the Bledisloe at the MCG. Sunday, we've got Richmond and Essendon at the MCG. And Monday night, across the road, the Matildas are going to host the Olympic champions, Canada, in a home World Cup, a do-or-die match. So it's weekends like this that you absolutely love working in sport and you love living in Melbourne. Of course, we're going to have coverage of all of it this weekend.
That's what we do on the ABC. Look out for the ABC Listen app. Toggle across the front and click on whatever thing you want to listen to. So all of it is covered this weekend on Grandstand AFL. And neither of you or I are native Victorians, so we don't even have to try and sort of lay claim that fill up. We have to defend the title after the Commonwealth Games going and everything else.
You can't beat the next 4 days,
Correct.
can you? It's going to be absolutely incredible.
That's a hell of a weekend to come. Top brass from both clubs tonight. So I had the chance to catch up with Luke Sayers earlier, the chairman of the Carlton Football Club. So I'll bring you some of that. And Craig Kelly, the chief executive of Collingwood, is going to join us in the box. It is Friday night. Tim Hodges is on the boundary. We'll get to Hodgie a little later, but our Grandstand AFL experts, three-time premiership player, premiership captain Cameron Ling, alongside Australian Football Hall of Famer, the man who's coached more games than anyone else in the history of AFL footy, including coaching both these teams, Carlton and Collingwood, and Mick Moldhouse. Good evening to both of you.
Corby. Good evening, Corbs. Good evening, Mick. Hello, Cal. This will be a fun night, Mick.
It certainly will be, and it's going to be fun for a lot of people too. It's quite warm getting here. I don't know.
It was warm. There was a buzz outside the stands.
Absolutely.
Great.
It's. I know we're entering into that phase of early August, coming into early August, which takes us into September, of course. But there's a feel about this, and we're talking about a side that's ninth. We've got to keep reminding ourselves they are ninth against a side that's only been beaten twice for the year, on top of the ladder. So. But as much as I pick Collingwood, I know they've got a couple of injuries and all this sort of stuff, and Collingwood have only got 2 on their list injured, but I just have a sneaking suspicion Carlton will be judging themselves today with the thought that they can actually win this game.
Yeah, I think with the form, they would be certainly thinking that way. Sam Walsh being out is a big blow. Harry Mackay from a couple of weeks ago out as well. Jack Silvani also out, but you welcome back Chera, Jack Martin, Paddy Cripps as the highlights of those ins for the Blues. It's funny when you say their form is great, it is, but compare the 2 games that these 2 teams played last week and they could not be further apart. No. Both get wins. Carlton played a practice match against the Eagles because that's all the West Coast Eagles do these days. That's all they serve up, the rubbish they play. Collingwood playing Port Adelaide in one of the most brilliant games of the entire season. And I had my eyes glued to Geelong-Brisbane last week, and I saw the standard of that game, and I went straight into Collingwood-Port Adelaide, and I had this awful sinking feeling of, oh no, there is a giant chasm between Collingwood and Port Adelaide, and then the next few. The standard of that game that Port and Collingwood played last week was outstanding. It was finals-type footy, it was fast, it was physical, it was everything. So I'll be interested, Mick, to see what impact that has on the teams tonight. Do Carlton just continue waltzing around thinking they can play against a B-grade team, which they're not going to get tonight in Collingwood, or Collingwood going to be a bit banged up from a really physical encounter against Port Adelaide and it might affect them?
Yeah, but they've been used to that.
They are.
They really do play 2 years of football, this type of stuff, where they've been come back from the dead so many times and win games of football. And I know they're not overly stressed at training, not like the Australian girls'
Don't
soccer
mention
side.
it, Mick. We're banning it from tonight.
Well, I'm
okay?
throwing things in there. Dave Warner. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mention that. But is he in or out? I can't just... Oh, he's out, sorry. But anyway, we put that behind us and say Collingwood are the real McCoys, we know. But that's why I say the 9th side, Carlton, can only do what you can do against an opposition Michael Voss is up and about. You can just see there seems to be weight off his shoulder, and given how they are playing without Mackay, I reckon that they're not far off being a pretty good side if they can make the 8.
You talk about the winning against West Coast Eagles, Lingy, and it was a bit of a training run. Corbin and I were across town last week, various different commentary teams, to see Curnow boot his 10, which was a real privilege to be there because it doesn't happen too often. Only 3 teams in history have won 5 consecutive games by 50-plus points, and 2 of them were your team, Lingy. The Cats back in 89, your Cats in 08, and Carlton. In this run of 5, though, they have upstaged Port Adelaide in there, so yes, more than 50 points. So, sure, yes, there's wins over the West Coast Eagles and the Suns here and the Hawks, but there was Freo in Perth and there was Port Adelaide. So there's been a clear change-up in how they play and their attitude.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great point you make, Cal, and it's almost a feeling of hallelujah. Thank you. It feels like Michael Voss has freed them up to play. That early season, we were getting so frustrated when we were doing Carlton games, saying it is so structured, it is so slow, it is so careful and sidewards. There's enough talent out there to let them loose a little bit, and it feels over the last, not just even 5 weeks, I reckon 6, 7, 8 weeks of being, go for it. Yep. Go for it. And you know what? If you make a mistake, we've got enough good players out there. We'll fix up those mistakes and we'll win the ball back and then go for it again. And they are playing much better footy. And that, I think that feeling of now if I run to attack, I'm going to get on the end of it. Yep. Because as a team, we're prepared to use it quicker. So there's more of a reason, bit of a carrot dangling there for the players. Get on your bike and get running, get moving, get attacking.
Lingy, just on a part that where you come into it, as far as the type of game you played and where you played your football. It's interesting just looking at the clearances dominated by 2 players in particular. I know Walsh is out anyway, but 2 players in particular at Carlton where it's really well spread by Collingwood. And it's the same with inside 50s. You see inside 50s as again, it seems to be the Collingwood side is so well spread right through that's what makes it them so dangerous because knock over one, the other one will jump up and get you.
100% right, Mick.
Craig Kelly's on his way, the Chief Executive of the Collingwood Football Club, and we'll also hear from Luke Sayers as well, the Chairman of the Blues. So the top brass from both teams ahead of Collingwood and Carlton. There's no late change. The tactical subs are Will Hoskin-Elliott, who plays his first game since breaking his hand in round 17, and Paddy Dow is the sub for Carlton again. So had good numbers last week, but back into the subs vest or what warm-up top they wear nowadays. It's not so much the vest that we're used to.
We don't need the red and green back ever again.
They're expecting 85,000 tonight. Unfortunately, there has been major delays on the following train line. So Belgrave, Alamein, Craigieburn, Cranbourne, Frankston, Glen Waverley, Hurstbridge, Lilydale, Pakenham, Sandringham, Sunbury, Upfield, Werribee and Williamstown. So lots of delays on the train network. So hopefully we still get the 85,000 and as many of them as possible here for the first bounce ahead of Collingwood and Carlton. Some other news from footy today. Brodie Grundy's been left out of the Demons final 22, so James Harms is in. Harrison Petty's going to play as a forward on Sunday, and Jaden Short, despite being named, was later withdrawn, so there's no change to the Richmond team that won against the Hawks last week. Jade Gresham has been axed by St Kilda, so Ross Lyon running out of patience with their free agent.
Bit of a surprise, that one, Corbs, because I reckon he's an absolute star. Jade Gresham, he hasn't quite hit the heights this season under Ross, but he'll be back. Don't worry about that. And if he's not, I reckon there'll be a fair queue to go and get him.
And Robert Hanson Jr., who's a mid-season draftee, is going to make his debut for North Melbourne, as is Brandon Ryan, who's going to make his debut for Hawthorn. So a couple of new faces this weekend in the AFL. Ahead of Carlton and Collingwood, Corbin Middlemass, Kelly Underwood, Cameron Lang, Mick Moldhouse and Tim Hodges downstairs, your call team for Friday Night Footy, and the Chief Executive of the Collingwood Football Club.
Hey guys.
Craig Kelly is with us.
How are we?
Hello, Craig.
I'm rapt to be here. It's so much fun getting out on a Friday night, and hopefully we'll get 90-odd thousand here. It'll be good, Ling. You're used to those sort of numbers. You never played anything underneath, 75?
It is nice on a Friday night, that big a crowd, especially when you're sitting up on top of the ladder just staring down at the rest of the comp.
I wouldn't say staring down, as you know. Your old lot is like the odds variant of the AFL Oldsbury Football Club, whenever they made the finals, all the other amateur clubs going, here they come. So I reckon it's a little bit happening down the road at the Cattery, so it'll be a bit scary in it'll be a good game couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
It's a good deflection straight away from the team that's sitting 2 games clear on top of the ladder in the Magpies. You've had a huge announcement earlier today across town at the
AIA Vitality Centre.
Yeah.
Our key partner, the Trove Financials. Not that the ABC ever lets us mention commercial names, but I'm going to keep mentioning it.
It's a glass house to me, I think.
We're just under 102,000 members, which is a record from last year, which is amazing. They're just amazing people, our supporters. And the good thing is we've still got a few more weeks and encourage everyone to keep going to make sure we really smash it out of the park, but also the opportunity for priority picks in relation to, not priority picks, priority seating for the finals. So people can still do that if they get on board. We're averaging, I think, about 72,000 to game. So, and that's I think it's in the top group around the world, top 4 or 5 around the world. So it is incredible when you think the size of Melbourne and this ground and how they just keep turning up and they travel everywhere. It's so much fun when you bump into them, talk to them. They're incredible.
So if every Collingwood member wanted to come to a game of the MCG, there wouldn't be enough seats for them, which is amazing when you
think about
how big this stand is. You've had a bit of illness at training again this week, and so the question's been asked in the media about why do we keep hearing about certain players missing key sessions and illnesses? Is that do you need to do something with the
cleaning? Do you want me? I should go there and start cleaning, putting the spray in. Is
it disproportionate to the rest of the
I think what happens is because everyone's so aware now, if you've even got a little tickle or you're not feeling quite right, they just say, don't come in. And the reality is it is a sniffle. So I think Geordie De Goe's had a bit of a virus that he's now getting through. No, I think we're reading too much into it. It's just a matter of stay home, don't come in, because we don't want it going anywhere else, especially this time of year. I mean, it's just not that warm.
So one of the reasons I think that you could fill the MCG for every home game, Craig, is the number 35.
It goes okay, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes all right. Who was better, him or his old man? You probably get asked this in the next few years. Maybe I'm the first to ask you. You played in the Premiership.
You are, Kel, you are the first to ask me. I think Peter did. But remember, I came at the back end of his career, so I got there in 98, and he'd gone forward, and Lee pretty much played him forward. He wasn't playing in the middle, but that unique ability to put the ball on a part of your foot that makes the ball bounce a certain way, all of them got it, but more so Nick and Pete. Pete used, like what he did in front of goals and stuff, everyone, it was all the time. At training, in games, you'd see the big ones, like we've seen plenty of them on TV or replays, but it was all the time. They'd be in the change rooms, the old change rooms, McGuan and Pete, and you'd be getting a massage, and this ball would bounce around the corner, through a room, over a table, into a bin, and going, oh yeah, those two idiots are out there doing their tricks again. But Pete would always do it. And I reckon the kids, he's just gone, here's the ball, this, watch it. And when Nick runs down the ground and he kicks on the outside of his boot and hits someone on the toe, and you go, it's amazing, Lingy. It is incredible.
Lingy's sick of it because he's been asked about it for years. The Ablett ones, the boys and the...
Yeah, but didn't Lingy, you had those foot skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were like that. You're a natural one.
I wish, Ned.
Will Nick surpass Dad, do you reckon?
Kel, I reckon that's dangerous because it's like saying, who was Modra a great full forward? And unfortunately, he probably didn't play as long as some of the other guys, but he was a great player when he played. So I think the test of time is a really key thing about being a legend of the game. You've got to put years and years and play at a level. But it's unfair to say that at the moment. So
Nick's contracted until the end of 2025, about to extend for an extra 4 years, if you believe the reports, to 2029.
Right? Are we listening to a certain bloke who sits in another box up the road?
No. I'm listening to your former president, who says that he'll be the highest paid 21-year-old ever in the history of the game, and yet his dad says it's nowhere near $1 million. So who's telling the truth here?
I'd listen to Dad.
Are we going to be contracted to the end of 2029 soon?
Kel, well, when that comes out, it'll come out in due course. It's all good. We're heading in the right direction. Everyone can relax. I tell you what we are doing. We're talking to him. I think you'd be pretty silly as a club not to be talking to him. Graham Wright, I reckon he's got everything under control.
You're a former player manager. Yes. You're big on long contracts. You think fair?
It's a good question. I think as a manager, you want as a manager, you go sometimes into one and you go, oh, if we ask for this and we get this, we're going tick, and it might be a little bit less money. But when you get, and that a little bit depends on where the player plays and the age of the player. When you're dealing with kids in their low 20s, being able to play multiple roles and not just a key ruck or a key big guy, you do it every day of the week, especially when you've seen something and go, this is pretty special, and you just go bang. So I think, though, we've seen long-term contracts with others that has been a great result as the manager's got for the player, but it's absolutely made it really hard for the player, and things have happened. Grundy's a good example.
Yeah.
And there's multiple other players you could go through and saying, at the time, the right thing for the money for the player, and the manager's done his job, but it absolutely makes it hard for a club to manage its list and its salary cap. So that's where it's hard.
So yes or no, does he deserve to be the highest paid 21-year-old in the comp?
I'm not saying he's going to be the highest paid player. What I'm saying, you'd want to lock in some long-term deals,
yep.
and Righty would be within his reason to do that and make complete sense.
Is part of the reason that you need to rework his deal and extend him out if the reports are to be believed?
They're not. You shouldn't believe all the reports.
Okay.
Keep going.
If he wins the Brownlow medal, and is there a clause in his deal that would trigger some more money and needs to be spread out?
No.
Nothing to do with that.
Fundamentally wrong.
How do you, though, just from a philosophical standpoint from the club, balance Nick Dacos deserves X, and across the competition probably a whole lot more? Josh Dacos will be the same. Darcy Moore deserves, and not end up weighting too much of your salary cap to your top 5 or 6 players.
Well, you've been live in that yourself.
Yeah.
Good clubs with, like, Darcy Moore's arguably one of the best playing backmen in the comp, if not the best, and an unbelievable leader, great captain, and just a wonderful guy. You've got Braden Maynard, you've got Sidey, and still playing great footy. So the honesty and openness of the footy manager doing the deals with Graham Wright, and his how he behaves and how he does those deals, is he wants to be able to look every player in the eye and saying, we're okay here, we've got this in an order that makes sense. Where and how you move the numbers to make it work in certain years, that's a different conversation. But as a whole, Righty is really his whole ethic is about doing things the right way and being able to look players and people in the eye, and that's how he behaves, which is the only way he can do it.
Can I shift your focus away from Collingwood for just a second? I know that's where you're locked on, but as a competition as a whole, what's your stance on clubs getting access to priority picks, compensation picks based on recent terrible performance?
I'm not a massive fan of it. It has to be. You'd have to really put an amazing case forward for a whole heap of reasons for the greater good of the comp. If you're running a poor business, have made poor decisions in your list management, you can't just put your hand out all the time. We should be, as a competition, running our clubs all need to be run better, us included. We made $50,000 last year, and we're one of the biggest clubs. We've got to do better, and we are doing better. We've got great things happening. But at the end of the day, Lingy, I'm not one that should be. The market is restrained enough with its salary cap, with player movement. So you got to run your business, got to have the right people in the right spots across the whole business, including the board, to be completely aligned, and that's the only way you have success. And you've seen that with your club. You've seen what you had and then what happened with when Hock comes in, James Sutherland, Craig Drummond, ripping guys, great board alignment. They make a few changes and they get Chris and everyone, bang. You deserve to win a final last year. You did a great job, and you're going to run a ripping club. That's all we should be all trying to do.
So you know how to make what makes competitions tick, what makes them work. We saw Cricket Australia think big, 86,000 here for a women's final a couple of years ago.
Yep.
FIFA World Cup's thinking big, 75,000 at Stadium Australia for the Women's World Cup. What on earth is happening with the women's competition at the moment? It feels like it's plateaued. Are you happy with the 10 games?
Oh, Kel, you've gone down a rabbit hole I'm not sure you wanted to go down.
Why is that?
Well, because I keep hearing this. And stop saying it, you and others.
Right.
Stop saying we've got it wrong. We're actually, what we're doing is we came out of COVID. There's only a certain amount of money. that goes around. So how much every time we put on another game of football?
Yeah, a weekend costs $2 million.
Costs a lot of money. So what we've got to do...
But what about the women's lives and how they negotiate living?
Let me finish. When I started, we did 2 days a week of training and we headed towards being a professional athlete. It took 15, 20 years. We've done in 8 years what took 15 to 20 years way back then when we went from VFL into AFL. So what I'm saying is we're on the right pathway. The marketing and what's going to happen with the AFL this year is going to be so much better. Where we play the games, consistency will be so much better. The focus is there, but we've got to come on the journey. We can't just squeeze the lemon and just start handing out cash that we haven't got as a whole competition. So I'm saying to all our girls, let's keep investing. Let's keep going forward. Do things differently. Let the cameras into the rooms and let's not compare the women's game to the men's game. The fun that our girls have, every training, the music and all the stuff that happens is amazing. So we've got to stop knocking where we're trying to go. And we get too many people saying, what are you doing? The industry is very aware where we want to go with our women. And so I don't want anyone saying that we're not heading in the right direction. We are, but be patient. It takes a while.
As we welcome our audience around the rest of the country to the MCG, Craig Kelly's with us, the Chief Executive of the Collingwood Football Club, Corbin Middlemass, Kelly Underwood and Cameron Ling. You've just walked straight into a barn burner about the AFLW, so I'll let Kelly sort of pick up where she left off.
Well, it's great that the fun's there and it's great that the music's there, but it shouldn't be about men's football, and I don't compare it to men's football, and I think we see the cricket doesn't. We see that the soccer's a very, very different game, but we shouldn't compare it to men's.
But we do.
Yeah, but this is an exhibition competition that features 10 games. You're telling me you don't have any money for the women?
No.
Well, you said the money's not there.
No, the money to get to the next point where everyone wants to go is not there yet. It's just not.
Is Collingwood Football Club making money?
No.
You're not making money.
We lose money with our women's program.
Okay, but overall, are you making money?
No, we made $50,000 last year, Kel.
Right, what about the AFL? Is the AFL making money?
As a whole, we're making the AFL's making money. But what's got to happen, Kel? You've got to say the collective bargaining agreement that's currently being worked on has got both parties working together, men's and women's, okay? I'm not sure if that's the right decision that was made back there, but that's the decision. So now what the growth phase for us has to be to talk to our women and our programs that we've got to say, over the next year, as we get more people going to games, as we got more people watching games, we must look after our women's program and keep investing, both in the athlete and the facilities. Because every time we go from 2 days a week, now we go to 3 or 4, what else happened, Kel, we have to get the doctors in, we have to get the physios in, so that all adds up. So I'm not saying the girls, if we could go bang, and we could have 10, 15,000 people turning up to smaller grounds every weekend and growing our audience numbers, and the TV were great, we go, there's more money, let's look after the girls, because they need to go more games and head towards being professional. It's just going to take some time. We've only been at it for 8 years.
Sure,
Everyone
and I get that.
But just be patient.
I get that. I would just say, what's first, chicken or the egg? Invest. So cricket invested, soccer's invested, and it feels like AFL hasn't come to the party yet. And when the competition was rolled out this year, how much improvement? You look at the fixture and the issues there, the grounds and the issues there.
Better.
Compared to these other sports?
No, but you're talking about global sports. We're a homegrown sport that has now made a decision, and the board made a decision to get out of netball.
Yeah.
Amazing athletes, Kel. Amazing athletes that represent our country. We had to close that down because we couldn't afford to do everything, and we had to make a decision. Are we going to be a football club? Yes, we are, men and women. So you don't reckon we're invested? I've just blown up the lives. We have just blown up the lives of these amazing athletes and the coaches and all the people. Oh, there was tears everywhere, me included. I'm going, hated it. So don't talk to me about not committing our club where we're going with our women's program. We are fully committed. It's just got to take time. And we are we're not international.
No, but you're the fastest growing sport in Australia when it comes to women.
And participation-wise, now we've got to let the numbers catch up. Everything's got to catch up. So just don't kill it. Just give us time.
Craig, really appreciate you stopping by. all the best for the remainder of the season. If you missed the first part of the interview, we'll put the whole thing online. So abc.net.au/sport. You can catch up onto the audio section.
I've got no energy.
Go and have a beer and relax down there.
No.
I'm not allowed to drink.
I've got no energy to call the game now. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, guys.
Craig Kelly with us, the Chief Executive of the Collingwood Football Club. A short time ago, I had the chance to catch up with the Chairman of the Carlton Football Club in Luke Sayers. It's been a happy week for the Blues. They've won 5 on the bounce, plus Tom de Koning re-signing for a further 2 years. I started by asking him about that announcement.
Yeah, no, look, we're thrilled. Tom's a terrific human, great part of the Carlton Footy Club. And I think it's, validation for also what we're doing as a club down at Carlton. And so good on him. Players are apt, club's wrapped, and looking forward to the next couple of years.
Jack Silvani's your next name off contract. He's obviously a legacy piece at the footy club as a blue blood and third-generation player. How sensitive is that aspect to try and get it right with a player like Jack as to not just another guy on the list?
Yeah, look, the club's working with Jack and, that's Brian Cook and the football department. They're going through the machinations. Jack's a terrific human, great part of the Carlton Football Club, and those guys will work through that over the next short period of time.
Do you know if there's a contract in front of him at the moment?
Look, I don't know on the day-to-day. That's not my role and responsibility, but Cookie and Brad Lloyd and the list management guys are working through that process.
Has the board spoken to Brian Cook about staying on beyond 2024?
Look, Cookie's just been outstanding for us. He's been in the chair, I want to say maybe 18 months now. He's exactly what I and we wanted. Plenty of experience, mature head, calm, wise, seen most things in footy, and he's brought that in spades. So we're wrapped with how Cookie's going, we're wrapped with how the organisation's going, and we'll continue to look at that, and also lots of other succession options into the future.
Will you try and convince him to stay?
Oh, look, we'll look at all options.
Yep. Michael Voss is the other interesting one. So when Brian Cook sat here a few weeks ago, the club was obviously struggling at that particular stage. You're on a losing skid where you lost 8 of a possible 9 games, and he completely backed in Michael Voss that his contract is through to the end of 2024. It is rare in footy nowadays that clubs let coaches go into the final year of their deal without any guarantee beyond that. Are you prepared as a club to let Michael Voss coach next year without any assurances beyond the end of 2024?
Look, Vossi, the relationship between Vossi, Brian, Brad Lloyd, myself, the board, could not be better. There's 100% trust, great transparency, and that is absolutely as tight as you would want and hope at a football club. So, whether it's next week, whether it's in 3 months' time, whether it's in 9 months' time, to be honest, we'll just work through that with Vossi. Vossi's not at all concerned. We're not at all concerned. We think we've got a great one in Michael, and we'll continue to work that going forward.
Yep. So it doesn't bother you. He could start the end of next year without a contract.
100%. And I think Vossi would be 100% cool with that, because there's that relationship and that trust between myself and Cookie and himself, and onwards and upwards.
It feels like when there's a crisis at Carlton, it's a little hotter than it is at just about any other club in the competition. How were you able to manage that? And first of all, do you even subscribe to that notion? And how were you able to manage that stage in the middle of the year when it felt like the house was on fire, and now you've been able to turn things around and you're well and truly in the mix to play finals with 5 weeks to go?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, and I think there's a number of things that factor in. Carlton is a big club, a massive club. We're 93,000 members, and a ton more fans that are not members that are going to join over the coming years. So there's a size of the club. There's also a stature of the club. Like, it's a really, really proud club. And the members and the fans haven't had success for a long period of time. So there's an impatience, if you will, with, when's it coming? And off the back of last year, people went in with huge expectations this year that it was just going to click, top 4, away we go. And as well as I know that life isn't kind of straight line. But I also think that, what I'm most proud about is the way the board, Brian, all of Brian's leadership team, and then the coaches and the players were very calm inside the club whilst sort of outside the club the fires were burning.
Yep.
You know, and at Carlton it gets bloody hot. And you know, if you listen to that and respond to that, you can be very, very, very tactical.
Yep.
And we have great belief in what we're doing. It's not to say we're perfect.
Yep.
Obviously we're not. We've still got a lot of development to go. But for me, it was the first sign that the players could stick fat, the coaches could stick fat, board and management could stick fat. And you know what? We're going to grow and learn through this, and we're going to be better for the experience. And so for me, I look back on that period. I think it'll pay us back in spades in the months and years to come. And I'm just super proud of everyone in the organisation that responded as such.
You did lose a board member during that period, though. You seem the same way that you did during that period, very resolute. You're also a human being, so you see the team struggling. I'm sure as much as everybody else, as a Carlton person, you wanted success this year. Did it shake you at all? Were you shaken a little bit to think, why are we here at the halfway mark of the year?
Look, I think it does, but you can't run a club by passion. You know, you can't run a club by emotion. You got to make sure that you stick to the process, stick to the plan, make sure you've got the right humans, and you're leading with the right behaviours and values. And you know, from time to time, there's always going to be adversity. Like, that's life, and it's how you respond to that and how you lead through it. So. For me, it's that won't be the last crisis at Carlton. There'll be plenty more crises. But how do we as a club and as a culture lead through that? Sticking fat, staying determined, staying as one, and coming out on the other side better for it.
Will you look to put more support around Michael Voss in the off-season?
Oh, look, we'll have a look at that at the end of the year. But, you know, at the moment, I think, the football department's working really, really well. There's great trust and great relationships. The coaches as a group are really, really tight and aligned, and they're powering forward. So we'll have a look at everything at the end of the year, and then we'll look to see whether we need to change up anything or not.
Your name's obviously been in the news in recent times, given the episode with PwC at the moment. Has that been a distraction for the footy club in any way?
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, we've got a job to do. We're focused on what we need to do down at Icon Park, and we're continuing to execute the plan.
And similar on that theme, what assurances can you give Carlton members that the corporate side of the business is being run well and is a strong corporate culture?
Oh, we've got an amazing off-field set of facts at the moment. You know, 92,000 members. Our sponsors are just amazing sponsors. The financials are, off the back of last year, trending above budget for this year. We could not be in a better financial position. And investing back into the club for the future. So, off-field, absolutely fantastic.
And just on a personal front, has it been tiring knowing that this conversation's going on in the background and I guess you're linked to what happened?
Look, I think in life there's always going to be adversity and lots of people are going to say lots of things. But, right here, right now, I'm focused on the Carlton Footy Club. We're powering, hopefully, towards playing in the finals. And, at the end of the year, we'll look at where we landed and what we need to change up to go again even better and harder next year.
Well, as a broadcaster, it is, I hate admitting it as an Essendon fan, but it is better when Carlton's up and running. They're big ticket item, huge crowds, and hopefully we get that again here tonight at the MCG. Really appreciate you stopping by, Luke, and good luck for the remainder of 2023.
Yeah, terrific. Thanks for having me.
Well, Luke Sayers, the chairman of the Carlton Football Club. Before that, Craig Kelly, the chief executive at the Magpies. So the top brass from both teams. And in that time, both sides have made their way out onto the middle of the MCG. There is no late change, which means Paddy Cripps is out there. Adam Chera's playing. Meanwhile, the tactical subs, Will Hoskin-Elliott, which means Ginnivan misses again. So no Jack Ginnivan for the Magpies. And Paddy Dow is the sub for Carlton this evening. It is the Blues on a 5-game winning sequence. They're just outside the top 8 in 9th spot. They test themselves against the best team in footy. 2 games clear on top, having lost just 2 matches for the season. Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse with the best preview to talk you through it. The bounce around 7 minutes away. What are we in for tonight in the next chapter of this storied rivalry, Collingwood versus Carlton on a Friday night?
Well, we can only hope we're in for a game of excitement and speed. Collingwood will bring it. They know no other way. Love the way they play footy. It is brilliant to watch. It's quality footy. They back each other up. They make a mistake. They follow up. They get the ball and they win it back and away they go again. And they've got the talent, the individuals, but also the team work ethic to play like that. Mick, I hope Carlton continue to take the game on, because that's how they've turned their season around. Now, if it really comes down to it, trading blows with a team like Collingwood, okay, ultimately I probably believe they're going to fall short, but I still want to see them play that way so they can test that way against the yardstick of the competition, rather than thinking, how do we take the pace off the game? How do we control the ball so Collingwood never get their hands on it, and play a way that hasn't let them, Carlton, play good football in the last 5 or 6 weeks. Take them head on, like Adelaide did around about a month ago, and nearly knocked off the Pies by playing some scintillating footy.
Yeah,
the same.
Yeah, good point, Lingy. Look, there's two ways to look at it. Melbourne did enable themselves to take the pace off the game.
Pace off, didn't they?
And won the game. Brisbane played, I reckon, semi. But it's interesting. I was talking to Andrew Cracker, and we were just having a bit of a chat up in the kitchen or the cafeteria, and we both agreed that the reason why Adelaide got close is because they play a similar speed role. To meet Collingwood, you have to play quick football or absolutely deny them playing for a full game,
and be good enough to deny it for
a full game.
Yeah.
And even last week, they kicked 6 goals. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they kicked 7 for the first till 3/4 time. Kicked 6 in the last quarter. Port kicked 3, but they couldn't sustain. And I reckon Adelaide, the first time played Collingwood come off, I think, 2 or 3 games where they'd won 2 of those games after the bell. And I reckon Adelaide started to put the cue in the rack at 3/4 time, saying we're going to slow it down, and they got overrun at the end. I think Steele Sodbury kicked a goal. Yep. This last time, perhaps a free kick short of winning the game, but they played that side of the game. So I'm with you that if Carlton are going to win it, they've got to do one of two. They've got to do what Melbourne did and take the heat right out of the game, and that's where Hewitt probably comes into it, because I don't think they've got the leg speed in the middle with Paddy Cripps. He'll get the ball, but he won't be able to break the lines like the Collingwood midfielders. Or you work with them the way Carlton have played in the last 4 or 5 weeks and last long enough to deny Collingwood that breathing space to be able to create a goal. So it's going to be an intrigue as far as I'm concerned with the coaches' boxes.
Yeah, because it's funny. I look at Carlton and I think, can they play the way Melbourne played them for the entire game, as you're saying? You can't just do it for a portion of the game. I don't think that style of play, Carlton are good enough. That style of
all day.
No,
well, that's where I'm coming from. I just think the last 5 weeks have been an illustration. It's whether, and just looking at this, looking at the micro stats, when you look at all the things that you're throwing in, the clearances, the assists, and all that sort of stuff, Collingwood goes so deep, whereas Carlton rely heavily on 2 or 3, and then it falls away a little bit. Now, in the past, that type of game against a good side that goes deep, really, they're in the game for a little while, then they get blown out of the water, because the ones who they rely on so heavily start to get fatigued. They start to make mistakes. They can't, when they need a breather, they can't. And the 4th, 5th, and 6th Collingwood player in this case start to take over.
Yeah.
So if Carlton don't bring an overall 23 players to this game that can play at we're not expecting them to go 100%, but play a level that is not below their best.
Yeah.
So if you start doing that, you'll lose the game of football.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You look through that Collingwood team and you just see underrated, probably by the wider football community, certainly not Collingwood fans, but underrated stars, like genuinely top-level players, like Braden Maynard's at half-back, Jack Crisp through the middle of the ground, the work rate in and under of Mitchell and Adams. We rave about, and quite rightly so, about the Dacos boys, how good Pendlebury is, Darcy Moore at centre-half-back. They're the big high-profile ones we talk about all the time. But how often do we talk about Nathan Murphy down back and what he does? Jamie Elliott's been dominating this season, but Myercheck's one of the most important key position players in the entire competition. There are just
his work ethic.
Just outstanding footballers everywhere in this Collingwood team.
I'll throw this to you. Very few times do you get, we're going to have the leading goal kicker, and we're probably going to have, one of the best fullbacks in the competition. Do they go on one another? Or see, in my case, I would be looking at Murphy playing on Curnow and freeing Moore up to play the role of the intercept.
Roam around.
Yeah, that's the way I would run it. But it's whether Craig McRae goes, oh, come on, you can go head-to-head with him. The other thing about Darcy, he does get goals kicked on him because of the way he plays and attacks the footy.
Just repeating, no late change here at the MCG. The captains are out in the middle of the ground. Tim Hodges is on the boundary as always for us. Good evening, Hodgie.
Hello, Corbin. Hello, team. Nice to be with you. Patrick Cripps back in the team. He won the toss. The Blues will kick to the city end. That's the right of the television screen if you're at home watching and listening to us. It is great to see Cripps there. Amazing rumours going around town today that he wasn't going to play, but he is out there. It is some sort of stage, a perfect night for footy, 14 degrees. I will say it is a little bit dewy out on the field, so it will be slippery early. And the crowd, it's enormous. The MCC says they're expecting between 85 and 88,000. The MCC alone, guys, only standing room remains. So it's absolutely chockers in the MCC, which is a fair indication that we're going to get a big crowd. It is the biggest weekend of the year for the ground. 80,000 tomorrow night for the Bledisloe Cup. Another 60+ thousand on Sunday for the Tigers and the Demons. So the ground staff, you'll see them enter the ground before the presentation of the Peter Mac Cup after the final siren tonight to prep the ground ready for rugby. So it is a busy place. The subs for Collingwood, Will Hoskin-Elliott coming towards me now, and for the Blues, Paddy Dow. Some sort of stage, guys. I hope the game lives up to the hype.
Thanks, Hodgie. We saw Port Adelaide last week. Their pressure rating at 190. Carlton have been the third best pressure team in the comp over the last 5 weeks. They'll need to bring the heat tonight. And we're ready to go. 80,000 at the G. 2 storied rivals. And they're about to renew one of footy's best. It is Collingwood versus Carlton. Into page number 264 we go. On Grandstand AFL, you're with Kelly Underwood.
Dacos, Nick, is next to Paddy Cripps at the start of this bounce. Perfect ball, hurried kick out of there by De Goey. It's marked by Adams, playing in front of Sard. Keeps it low, it'll bounce. Awkward one to pick up. McGovern was there. Doherty, Hollins, pushed as he kicked it and it affects the kick. So Pendlebury takes the mark inside the centre square. Hewitt matched up on him at that centre square first bounce, and that kick was perfect. De Goey had to go back a little bit. It was brave, and he's taken a mark in front, directly in front at the punt road end, only about 30 metres out.
Oh, great grab.
It was a great grab, but what about the fact of Pendlebury he had plenty of space, admittedly, but he had an opportunity to kick the ball wide who someone was totally clear, and a split second later he realised that it could have been covered. So then he goes and kicks the football here.
And he slotted it through. The crowd tells the story. De Goey converts directly in front. And they open proceedings at a packed MCG. 1 straight 6. The Blues yet to go inside 50.
And so often, Mick, we talk about how great attacking team Collingwood is, and they are. They've got players everywhere who can attack. As you just said about Pendlebury, use the ball to dangerous parts of the ground. But the thing that created that goal was the speed with which they close and defend. Yep. So when Carlton won the ball back, I think it was Hollins had the ball, had a little bit of time, and then just like that, had no time at all.
Yep.
And rushed his kick, sprayed it off the side of the boot, gave it back to Pendlebury in space. Pendlebury, with all his brilliance and class and experience, weighted up perfectly. They get the goal. They are so good in both facets of the game.
Cripps and De Goey, a little bit of push and shove behind the umpire as umpire Mollison restarts play. De Koning wins the hit out back in the middle for Carlton, but straight to Nick Dacos. Hand pass away to Pendlebury. Flares a handball out wide for Maynard. Lets it bounce. Takes on Fogarty. Just got a hand pass away. Side bottom on the wing. Kicks down to half forward. Wiedering leaves his man. Takes the intercept mark. Half back for Carlton. So both teams in their traditional strip. Carlton the navy blue with the white monogram and the white shorts. As the kick goes down the wing, Pitternet back in the side, the target spills down to side bottom. He's tackled. And a ball up here on the wing. So De Koning starting in the ruck despite Pitternet back in the team. Collingwood with the first goal to De Goey. 2.5 minutes in. Collingwood by 6.
I reckon Pitnet's trying to keep Darcy Moore honest and out of Charlie Curnow's way at the moment.
De Koning tries to pedal it to his own advantage, but he's been done for holding the ball. I think he was trying to control it, Mick. Oh, no, it's off the ball. It'll be a free kick to Pendlebury. So Murphy started with the job on Charlie Curnow.
Strange.
He's down in the goal square at the city end as Pendlebury goes short to Dacos. That's Nick to Mitchell.
The reason Mick's saying it's strange, it's almost like Pendlebury have turned around and appealed to the umpire, and the umpire said, yes, I'll pay that.
Yeah. Oh, it's very weird.
So Mitchell works it to Maynard, who's got it right in front of the Pies bench. On his left, into the pocket. Target back there was Myercheck. Where were the blue spoils? Tom de Koning was there. And Myercheck almost ran into de Koning's chest as he was backing back, similar style to De Goey, and took the mark over his head in the left forward pocket, only about 20 metres out.
Oh, that was some D-grade defending.
Oh, shocking defending. Worse still, the fact that the ruckman's there.
Here he is, Mr. No Fuss in the black and white, and he's curling that too much and missing it to the near side, Myercheck. Offline.
Well, nothing Carlton's done so far has indicated that they're, I'm not going to say switched on, but got the pace up. Yeah. You've got to get pace up early. You can't wait. It's like a 400-metre race. No, you just wait to the last 100 metres.
So it's short to McGovern. McGovern chips it away across the fullback line to Wiedering. Hand pass to Sard. He's up and running. 2 bounces. Here comes the Wolf as he kicks it all the way down the wing and over the back of the defence. Murphy leaves his man, knocks it down for Collingwood. Away to Markov. Hand pass away to Noble across the half-back line. Just got to Maynard. He slips over. Launches a hand pass to Pendlebury. Away to Mitchell. Tackled by Martin. Ball comes out. Fogarty wins it back for the Blues. Hand pass to Cunningham. Away to Cripps. Flares it wide by hand to Marchbank. Set of hand passes for the Blues. Doherty to Akers. Kicks inside 50. Pitternet. Hands to it. No mark. Follows up. Kicks it into Cameron. Kick smothered. Bounces out of play. Throw in forward pocket for Carlton.
Better sign, though. Better sign. Yeah, just to create that turnover again, Mick.
Yep.
And get another shot at taking it forward. That's at least what you were just talking about. Actually starting to pick up the pace of the game.
Yeah, have to. Otherwise you get left.
Twirling ball back in. Pitnet and Cameron tussle. Down. Cripps went with it. And he's piled on top of. And he'll be on the bottom of this pack. So it'll be a ball up.
One extra behind for Carlton. So Collingwood have got one inside the front back 50.
Top of the goal square. Pitnet tries to go off the boot. It was smothered. Darcy Moore's in there. And now Cripps is set upon.
Sorry, Cal. With Pitnet playing forward, he can take these rucks.
Yeah.
De Koning behind the ball, but currently matched up on Myercheck.
Both miss it. Hewitt with a handball out to Hollands. Hollands' handball didn't hit the target. Howard the intercept. What about the run of Chris? He goes the fend off. He's strolling through the MCG, the centre, the handball over the top to Dacos. That's Nick. And then he flares the kick out wide. Here's Lipinski to go coast to coast. Elliott! Perfection. Textbook Aussie rules football from the top of the ladder. Collingwood Footy Club.
Next. Really poor defence again because it was 2v1. So when you got 2v1, you stay with the logic receiver. It was going to be Elliott. So they both drifted off him. That was just amazing that they had no communication.
The sharp shooter in the right forward pocket has to curl it back. It's touched by Kemp right on the line. So a couple of early misses, one either side of the pocket at the punt road end, one to Myercheck and one to Jamie Elliott. It's 1-2-8, the Blues yet to score.
What about the running power, Mick, though? Crisp and Dacos through the middle of the ground and Lipinski working on that wing.
Same, a lot of width.
Yeah, they were flying across the grass.
Newman marks the kick out, then goes short to Kemp, back pocket, long kick up the wing. Akers flies, no mark, spills down to Motlop. Blues with the numbers, chain of hand passes. Away to Akers to Doherty, kicks to half forward, but only man back is Jeremy Howe. With the black shooter's sleeve on for Collingwood, he kicks out wide and finds side bottom. Marks in front of Maynard, plays on immediately. Here go the Pies up over halfway. Mitchell, hand pass away to Cameron, gives it to De Goey, squeezes the kick out, chopped off. And Kemp intercepts for Carlton. Away to Pitternet, to Newman, and now hand pass out wide to Chera. Chera kicks down the wing, untidy ball. Moore diving to take the mark, and it's going to be paid. He's tackled by Akers. Says all okay. It was a close run thing, millimetres off the MCG turf. Moore with the footy on halfway. Members win. Collingwood with the first 8 points.
He kicks all the way back to Nathan Murphy, who marks uncontested. Wouldn't have had much sleep this week. His direct opponent is the 10-goal hero last week, Charlie Curnow. Works it to Howe, kicks it to centre half forward. Free kick here for Tom Mitchell. Still inside that centre square, just goes short with his kick and hits up Howe again. Who can really roost it. He's still inside this centre square. He points up and says, I'm going long. I'm going to pop it to the hot spot. Pitnet's down there. Almost, yes. Cameron paid the mark. And again, Dodgy defence from the Blues defenders.
Well, you got to ask, what on earth are you doing down there? Key defenders and a ruckman, and twice now
on his head.
Just a hopeful kick to a pack, and a simple mark from Darcy Cameron, and it was Brody Myercheck a little bit earlier. That is terrible defending.
I'm just trying to find where's their ruckman down?
Well, Pitnet was down there.
Here's Darcy Cameron directly in front. 1 goal, 6 from his 11 games this year, but you can't miss from there. And Darcy Cameron cashes in the first 2 majors to the Pies. 2-2-14. The Blues still yet to score after 8.5 minutes of play.
Carlton will not score for the game. If they play quick from their half-back, slow through the middle, and then kick it straight to the +1 that Collingwood have got. There's only one thing you do with a player, a side that's got the extra. You must run the ball at them, use the shorter ball in front of you, so that then Collingwood have got to make a decision, and then you can get the troops in. If you're just going to get to the stage at the centre of the ground and look up and you're getting pressured and you just keep kicking the football back, you're in trouble.
Pies by 14. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Corbin, I would think there'd be 70,000 plus in the house at the moment. Still thousands of people streaming in, still thousands of people stuck outside. It's been complete chaos getting into the ground. The car parks were closed with this morning's rain, so still so many people outside trying to get in for this game.
Another centre break for the Pies as Pendlebury kicks down to half forward. Elliott, good body work. Got rid of his direct opponent, McGovern, and takes it right on the 50.
Oh, I love that matchup for Collingwood. Elliott v McGovern. Just clear out Collingwood forwards. He'll kick 10.
This is his 17th game. He's kicked 28 goals, 16. Obviously the go-ahead goal twice at the finish last Saturday night. Big game, Jamie runs out to his right, lays it up in the end, top of the goal square, and Kent takes an intercept mark. Defensive goal square for Carlton. They're up against it early. Collingwood 2-2. Carlton yet to score 10 minutes in.
Well, he's lucky that he actually got there, because there was a channel as wide for the Queen Mary to run through. That was a set play by Collingwood.
Kemp goes short to Newman. Now the risky kick back inside the corridor. Mark's taken and it's flared wide from Doherty to Wiedering. Or rather, it was Chincotta who got it to Wiedering round the outer side, the southern side, and there is Oleg Markov getting a hand in and spoiling it over the boundary line. What an incredible story for Markov. Signed by the supplementary selection period to replace the inactive Charlie Dean after stints at Richmond and the Gold Coast. So on the outer side, on the wing, here's the Blues taking it from the boundary throw-in. Cripps dashing ahead, kicks to half forward, out in front of De Koning, who takes a strong mark and plays on because his direct opponent Murphy goes to ground. De Koning's going to go straight towards Charlie Curnow, but Darcy Moore outmarks Curnow. Not many do that.
No, you're right, Kel, and he also went for the mark too, so that shows you how much confidence he got. No, not even intent on spoiling it.
So the Collingwood captain, last line of defence.
Moore kicks out to half-back, but it's a turnover. Akers with the intercept mark. It was Darcy Moore, 10 intercept marks last time they met, an equal record. Kicks to centre-half forward. Newman has it for the Blues. He's 55 metres out, and he lays it off by hand to McGovern, who loads up, kicks a rocket for the Blues first. Oh, that's one way to get going. Mitch McGovern from long range pumps it through on the run. And Carlton are on the board. It's taken 12 minutes, 1 straight 6. Collingwood 2-2-14. It's the Pies by 8 points. Grandstand AFL, Cameron Ling, Mick Malthouse.
Well, maybe that's McGovern's tactic. He's just going to kick one, so then he's got one up on Jamie Elliott, Mick. Fantastic kick. I was almost going to jump in and say he's called for it at the wrong time, because Collingwood
had the numbers there. Yeah.
He just struck it beautifully. So,
well, that's where you're going to get the goals from outside 50. Yeah. You're not going to get them inside 50 if you don't use the ball correctly. It's going to have to be speed that gets the football inside the front 50 to Curnow and co. But it was good play by De Koning, who played on from that mark.
So now it's Mason Cox up against Pitnet. Pitnet slams it down. De Goey pounces on it. Chera's got him all tied up. Noble goes without it. Pendlebury a little toe poke in the direction of Akers, who picks it up and bombs it as long as he possibly can in the Darcy Moore direction. Here's a chance for Owies. He goes off the ground. It's rolling across the face. And he's missing. It went right across the face, the roller across the turf for Matthew Owies. So 1-1-7. The Blues trail by 7 points. Collingwood 2-3-14 after 13 minutes played in this first term.
High-octane start as Quain Orr turned Noble. Kicks trying to find side bottom. Missed in.
A throw.
In the end, is it a throw? Yeah, penalised Marchbank trying to get it off to Hollands. So Collingwood keep possession. 45 kick inboard to Mitchell. Hand pass releases Adams. Sends the Pies to half forward. Wiedering takes the intercept mark. Just repeating, no late change coming in, so Cripps and Chera both out there as Wiedering straightens up to Kemp. Short kick to Marchbank. First game of the year. Sends his kick down to high half forward. Here's Cripps. Short pass finds Motlop right on the 50. He's out wide, goes short inside the attacking arc, and Hollands hangs onto it. Against the fence, 40 out.
Well, Collingwood will be happy enough that they've marked it inside 50 on the boundary.
He's not happy with this look, Hollands, so he's just going to set it up to the top of the goal square. Curnow down there, hand on it, spills to Markov. Hand pass to Murphy, handball away to Josh Dacos. He'll kick out looking for Mason Cox, slow to arrive, and Chin Connor takes the intercept mark. Half forward for the Blues.
Cuts it back into Kemp, the defender who's floated down to half forward. In front of the Shane Warne stand. He's taking his time. And now he's going to load up. He's looking for Curnow and flying in front. Darcy Moore has beaten Charlie again in the air. Well, he's done it twice.
Yeah, he's done it twice. And even the one before that was brought to ground. Moore is so good and so big and just reads the ball so well. Curnow's even just fighting just to bring it to ground, Mick. He can't get any real good look at a mark. He's going to hoping.
He's going to have to come off and jump.
Yeah,
because he's not going to be able to do it on the stand.
So he kicks sideways to Quain Orr, who kicks along. The spoil from Wiedering is going to go over the boundary line. So a boundary throw in, half forward here for the Blues.
I think that's 3 intercept marks for Darcy Moore already. So the one on the wing, one off half back, and then last line there. They only took 11 last week, Collingwood, for the game against Port Adelaide.
But see, this is feeding him. And you feed players when you kick the ball high and expect your forward to mark it. That's feeding him. It's on the lead that gets these players.
So from a boundary throw in, there was a pile up on the player right on the bottom's been pinged for holding. And it was Cripps. It was against Adams. Cripps a little sore to get up. He feeds off the handball to Hewitt. Off a standing step, he's going to bomb it towards Curnow. Both flew in the air. The umpire saw something. It'll be a free kick to Murphy. No.
Oh, it's 50.
Oh, 50 as well. Oh, Jack Martin.
That might be 100.
Jack Martin has knocked the Sherrin out of Nathan Murphy's hands.
That's 100.
It's a 100-metre penalty.
And he handed it to the umpire. That is just dopey. You cannot be that silly.
So Nathan Murphy, with the headband on, has trotted all the way. He's ahead of centre.
What do you reckon? Is that a good 100?
No.
Not from where it happened.
Bit more.
He should have gone further.
He should have gone further. Anyway, they've still got it from outside 50. Quick couple of kicks, Maynard, and then to Adams. Adams is looking for Mason Cox, puts it in the air. Cox came through, a bit of hang time, couldn't get hold of it. Hurry kick into space. Hollands is able to trap it. Gets it off to a teammate Newman. He's in all sorts. It's picked up by Hewitt and hurriedly blazes away outside of 50 where Pendlebury, the former skipper, chops it off with ease.
I think it's going to be an intercept party tonight for the Pies.
And this is the difference between the two sides. Collingwood just seem to have more time and more options.
Pendlebury long to Mason Cox. Hands on it. Can't complete the mark in the pack. Marchbank squeezes the kick out. Back to the defensive 50. Maynard collects. Sidestep. Shoots goalward but misses near side. Collingwood 2-3-15. Carlton 1-1-7. Pies by 8 points. 17 minutes in. No late change. Hoskin, Elliott and Dow are the two subs.
You wouldn't believe that they've got the same number of stats at the moment, would you? Just looking at the game. Carlton 55, Collingwood 54. Inside 50 is 7 to 8, but it's just a different game.
Different game, exactly. Carlton are kicking it up a chimney into their forward line. Collingwood actually look dangerous.
So they've worked it out of the defensive 50, all by short, sharp kicks, the Blues, and Chincotta's got it, Akers has got it in his hand. Defensive side of the southern side of the MCG. Now he goes to half forward. It's Charlie Curnow surrounded by pies, and he finally wins a free kick.
They've got to go quick here. De Koning's got a mismatch if they can get it in quickly.
And he does just that. He drives it long into the left forward pocket, side bottom from behind with a spoil. Always gets it over the top, and a hurried goal by the Blues. And soccering it through was Jesse Motlop in the goal square, received the handball and smashed it through up to the second tier. And they've gone back-to-back goals to make it 2 goals apiece now. 2-3-15, Collingwood, Carlton 2-1-13.
Mick, you said speed was the key. So even though De Koning doesn't mark that, Charlie Curnow went there so quick.
Absolutely, and depth.
It meant 3 or 4 Collingwood players were scrambling to help Quaynor versus De Koning.
Yeah.
And if the ball comes to ground, it leaves 2 or 3 players free. Motlop gets the goal. That speed that you mentioned earlier is the key to everything tonight for the Blues.
It will be. There's such a thing as leg speed. We know Collingwood have got leg speed, but it's ball moves. And the thing is about De Koning's kick and Curnow's kick, they both were 55 metres, which then it meant the Collingwood players in between got lost. They were no longer involved in the play.
Collingwood with the first 2 goals, Carlton with the last 2. It's the Magpies by a couple of points. Free kick for a ruck infringement. It's against De Koning. Cameron's going to take it for the Pies. Hand pass to the Brownlow favourite, Nick Dacos. He kicks wide to brother Josh. Marks between wing and half forward. Hand pass to the run of Markov. 60 out. Kicks to the top of the goal square for Collingwood. McCreary floating through, third up, takes the mark.
And that's the case of worrying about all the other players in the air and letting a half forward come across the top. Well done by the Pies with their numbers.
Adam Sard will not want to watch that.
Oh, shocking, wasn't it?
Inc yet to try on a new deal, re-signed during the week to the end of 2026. Bo McCreary to finish off a clean play, hits the post from 15 out straight in front. Gee, I thought that was obligatory from there, a 3-point lead for Collingwood.
Both hands went straight up to his face. He wanted the ground at the MCG there to open up and swallow him up. He couldn't believe it. Blues have worked it quickly. Cottrell's got it on the outer wing. Stabs the pass to Curnow, who's got a little bit of separation on Murphy. Wheels around, long way out. Piercing pass slipped through the hands of De Koning. It was a wonderful kick. A little bit too hot for De Koning to control. And now side bottom. Rushes the ball over the boundary line with De Koning in hot pursuit.
Complain all you like about it not being deliberate or whether it should or shouldn't be. De Koning's got to mark those. Has to. When the ball gets forward like that, you're not going to get many opportunities. Has to wrap them up.
Oh, absolutely. And he's having a shot from 45 metres.
He's rocking again here, De Koning. Cameron wins the head out. De Koning grabs the footy, shoots goalward hurriedly, misses everything. Out on the full.
He's had a couple of marks, so that's out on the full. He's dropped the mark, but at least he's in the game. I will give him that, Mick. I was focusing on a negative there, but he's putting himself into the game.
Well, the first kick he had was the first goal. Sorry, the goal they kicked.
His man's got it here as Murphy to Maynard goes long down the line, and Cameron marks against the boundary line for Collingwood. Pies by 3 points, 2-4 to 2-1. Time on opening quarter, grandstand AFL as Cameron, depth kick, finds side bottom and marks. Coming off his best of field performance last Saturday night against the Power. Corbin Middlemass, Kelly Underwood, Tim Hodges on the boundary, Nick Moldhouse, Cameron Ling. And call team Friday night footy on grandstand AFL as side bottom long down the line. Wiedering takes the intercept mark. Has it for the Blues at halfback. Collingwood by 3 points, 22 minutes in.
Well, Carlton know what they have to do. They're looking to transfer the play, and it's a reluctance to transfer it because now they're back. Collingwood are taking that. It's not quick enough to do it.
No, exactly. And it can't go backwards. Otherwise, Collingwood will squeeze.
Oh, that's what they love that. Yeah. Collingwood love the sides to go 3 or 4 positions in the back 50.
So Cripps with a slow jog off to the bench for a breather. It's great for Carlton fans that he's playing tonight as Newman works it up to Chera, who's another critical inclusion. He's marked it right in front of the Pies bench. He's just going to send it high. Quaynor with the launch from behind. Oh, Curnow!
Oh, it's a free kick though, by
Charlie was surrounded by Pies and he clunked the mark.
Nathan Murphy got taken out just before Curnow marked that one. The umpire from outside the area spotted it. I reckon it was there.
Hence the Blues reaction. You could hear the Bronx boos. Bronx cheers, the boos in the background. Here they go again. Akers has got it. This time he spears it. And he could have given it to Charlie, but it was the smaller player, Owies, who's taken the mark. 45-degree angle, about 30 metres out.
And Charlie Curnow fought through the defenders really well. Oh, rewatching
I don't
the
reckon
replay, nah.
No,
that's not a free.
No.
You know what that is? That's a $1,500 fine.
Yep.
Honestly.
Murphy's running to the back of Fogarty and just realised, I can't get to it, so I'll throw myself backwards.
And that's a free kick from the other umpire.
Oh, he's on the runway. They conceded the first two. And he's just missed by a whisker, hanging it out to the right.
They're back in this, though. They're not quite finishing. They're having moments now, the Blues.
Pies by 2 points, 23-minute mark of the opening turn.
I reckon they've worked out their forward line thing, because the forward line now aren't all that back. They're up the ground a little bit, giving options.
More dangerous kick out, turns it over. Marchbank with the intercept mark. Front edge of the centre square for Carlton. Crowded forward 50 to the city end of the ground. He just kicks to the top of the goal square. Martin down there. Martin's got it. Jack Martin marks in front of side bottom. He'll shoot from 20 out, 45-degree angle.
Well, I don't think Steele will like that either. When you're caught behind in a one-on-one, you've got to make... You may well have got a bit of hand to it, but you've got to make sure that ball comes to ground. You can't...
I reckon Steele thought, I've got this. I've actually read it better than him.
Yeah.
Martin just got the hand in, took it.
Jack Martin, no problems on the conversion. For the first time tonight, the Blues have their nose in front. Carlton with 3 in a row. And the bag has moved to 3-2-20. Collingwood 2-4-16. Blues by 4 points. Cameron Ling, Mick Moldhouse, Grandstand AFL, 25 minutes in.
Well, I think I said to you, Lingy, the stats are about the same. Carlton have gone 77, 67. I think it was about 55, 56 each. So Carlton have actually flipped that, and it's mainly through the middle players. If we have a look at that, they're back. Well, Wiedering's now got, he's had 5. And what we saw in the first 5 minutes is now flipped over on its head.
Let's get down to Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Kel, just an interesting one. I don't think I've seen this before. Bo McCreary came off the ground and he walked over to Craig McRae, the coach who's coaching from the bench, and you could see him say how sorry he was for missing that goal from the edge of the goal square before. So it's still wearing on him that, 5 minutes later.
Okay, well, it's all the Blues way at the moment after a slow start. Cripps handles it to Chera, to Doherty. Back to Chera, who goes wide. Now he has to trap up Hollands under enormous pressure. He goes to ground and Maynard swoops. The more experienced, bigger body loops the kick over the top in the favour of Lipinski, who takes the mark going back with the flight, and Chera is the man standing the mark. Lipinski hits up Mitchell all by himself. Just outside the 50.
He's slow to move the ball there. He had Elliott absolutely clear.
He's clearly not within range. He's pointing. Top of the goal square, he says, and that's exactly where he goes. Gives it plenty of oomph in the kick and plenty of hang time and air time, which allows Dan McStay to run and launch and leap and mark.
Someone's been pushed under the ball here.
Yeah. There's a 50 here. This will make a certainty of the McStay goal.
Yeah, it's taking McStay right to the goal where he dabs it through. It lands 23 rows back in the Blues cheer squad. They won't be happy with that. But another ill-disciplined act from the Blues. So that's 3 50s they've given away, and we've gone 26 minutes of play here, and Collingwood now back in front by 2. 3-4-22, 3-2-20. Cameron Ling, did you see what that was for off the ball?
So Pitnet got a bit of a shove, and that's why McStay takes the mark. I'm assuming maybe the Carlton players continue to argue the fact that there should have been a free kick. That's what I can only guess happened.
Well, it feels like they've forgotten about the descent rule, so maybe they've had a meeting during the week and they thought, you know what, we should do this again.
Here we go, rest of the competition. Tune in tonight.
You know what
the
they
rule
did?
of the week is.
What they did, they pointed. Right. The 2 players pointed. They must have said something as well. Pointed to the fact that it got pushed out. So
demonstrative.
Demonstrative.
Well, there were about 13 last week that were overly demonstrative and no 50.
That's what I'm looking for. Collingwood by 2 points. Second lead change. Nick Dacos first touch at the restart. Hand pass to Noble. Kicks out wide for Lipinski. Can't reel it in. Spills to Sard. Hand pass to Hollands. Oh, Sard just tapped it in the air to himself. That's almost a throw. as he then tumbles an untidy kick down the wing. Fogarty out after it. Tempo's lifted again. Chera extracts it. Hand pass to Doherty. Kicks goalward but misses.
Yeah, Sam's got a tendency to just to rush a bit there. He had 2 players clear.
Collingwood by a point, 27.5 minutes in. Hot start. Bumper crowd at the MCG. 2 teams on a 5-game winning streak. The Pies and the Blues. It's Collingwood by 1.
Darcy Moore on the kick in towards Cameron. Got it down to Maynard, who's heavily tackled to the turf by the young gun in Hollands. Bit of push and shove after as Cripps comes in and happy to make sure Maynard moves away from the youngster. Bit of protection. Ball up, pit net, looking for Cripps. Instead, it's Hollands that emerges with it, squeezes the kick into the pocket. Can they find a mark? De Koning was the target. Well played by Martin. He picked the Pies pocket, but the handball goes to Quaynor. Was it a throw to steal? He's given it straight up. Over to Hollands, who puts it to Chera. Left snap. Oh, they're missing the Blues. They're peppering. They're missing to the right. They're missing to the left. Chera with his snap. And it's 3-4 apiece. All tied up, scores level. With less than a minute to play in this opening term, it's been helter-skelter. Speedy.
Carlton 7 scores from 14 entries. Collingwood 7 scores from 10 entries.
Yeah, big difference.
Here's Darcy Moore on the kick out. Goes wide. Lipinski up strong. Can't complete the mark. Pitternet playing the role of the rover. Kicks into the forward pocket. Bounces out. Says spin it in. Right forward pocket for the Blues.
Well, it's just the scores are tied up and the game's tied up because of controlled by Collingwood earlier, controlled by Carlton later. So both sides...
Carlton plus 10 contested possessions.
Yeah, it is. It's
boundary throw in. Both rucks can't take it clean. Spills to Pendlebury. He's tackled. Would do it all again.
Pendlebury's often taking Paddy Cripps' body around the stoppages. Not at this one, but it's a bit higher up the ground.
Cameron, 2 goes at it, palms it down to side bottom, kicks in the middle of the G, bouncing footy, chopped off by Marchbank, short kick, ends up with Lipinski again. Hand pass reach, Nick Dacos, can't trap it. Chincotta for the Blues. Hand pass to Hollands, kicks to half forward, and Mitchell's there. Takes the intercept mark for Collingwood. And that's quarter time. We had high hopes coming in. 2 of the informed teams, one of the best rivalries in footy. The Blues who have won 5 in a row, the Magpies who have lost twice all season, and scores are level. At quarter time, 3-4-22 apiece. We had a couple of lead changes in that first term. Collingwood kicked the first 2 goals, Carlton the next 3, and McStay the last goal of the match. The other goal kickers, DeGoey and Cameron, also with 1 each for Collingwood, while for Carlton I've got 1 for Motlop, McGovern and Jack Martin. Had a couple of text messages coming through talking about the playing strips from Stewart and from Rob.
Yeah.
About their possible clashes. Obviously, the way that these 2 teams
agree
go about it. I had a really good suggestion from Rob, which I don't understand. I get the idea of dark shorts at home and white shorts away, but wouldn't so much of it be solved if you had Collingwood in the white shorts, and they're predominantly a light team, mostly white with a little bit of black, and you had Carlton predominantly dark in navy with navy shorts.
It does.
Yes,
and the other thing is
too sensible.
Yeah, tradition is good, but common sense is better.
But surely we would rather both teams wearing their traditional jumper and changing the shorts than we would Carlton wearing white or something silly like that.
Yeah, and that's right.
And Geelong have done it for years. They wear white shorts at home. It makes a lot of sense. So well done to Stewart and to Rob off the SMS. 0437 774 774, the SMS number. The thoughts of Mick and Lingy in just a moment. There is sport happening everywhere tonight. If you're looking for something else, the ABC Listen app is the place to go. Download it in the App Store. It is free. And you can just look at the toggles on the top to decide what you want to watch. The Ashes is on the ABC Cricket button. The Aussies 1 for 72 in their first innings. We're about 20 minutes into play on day 2. There's the Women's World Cup. Green and gold World Cup button. You can click on that. England leading Denmark 1-0 at halftime of that fixture. And in the NRL, which is on the green ABC Sport button, earlier today, the West Tigers 18 losing to South Sydney 32. So full-time Rabbitohs beating the Tigers there 32-18. And down the road at Docklands, the first half between the Storm and the Eels. It's the Storm who lead at 6-4. Our focus on what's happening here at the G. Scores level at quarter time. The thoughts of Mick and Lingy in just a moment on Grandstand AFL.
ABC Listen.
A lot of us want to know exactly how a major Silicon Valley bank could have failed, how a former comedy star is holding off a nuclear superpower, and how did a country a lot like Australia end up with 100% inflation. I'm Matt Bevan. Join me for a new season of my podcast, If You're Listening, helping you make sense of major news events shaping our world with new episodes weekly. If You're Listening, hear it now on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
And we're ready to go. 80,000 at the G. Two storied rivals. It is Collingwood versus Carlton.
Says, I'm going long. I'm going to pop it to the hot spot. Pit net's down there. Almost, yes. Cameron paid the mark. Dodgy defence from the Blues defenders. 1 goal, 6 from his 11 games this year, but you can't miss from there. And Darcy Cameron cashes in.
It's 55 metres out. He lays it off by hand to McGovern, who loads up, kicks a rocket for the Blues first. Oh, that's one way to get going. Mitch McGovern from long range pumps it through on the run.
He drives it long into the left forward pocket. Side bottom from behind with the spoil. Always gets it over the top, and a hurried goal by the Blues. And soccering it through is Jesse Motlop.
Crowded forward 50 to the city end of the ground. He just kicks to the top of the goal square. Martin down there. Martin's got it. Jack Martin, no problems on the conversion. For the first time tonight, the Blues have their nose in front.
Gives it plenty of oomph in the kick and plenty of hang time and air time, which allows Dan McStay to run and launch and leap and mark.
50 here, this will make a certainty of the
right to the goal where he dabs it through. It lands 23 rows back in the Blues cheer spot. They won't be happy with that.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Sounds from the opening term. Scores level. 22 apiece. Cameron Ling, Mick Malthouse, Grandstand AFL.
Good game, Lingy.
Yeah.
And top quality game. I suspect that when you come to a game like this, you just want everything to be just ripping down the ground, big scoring, and then ripping back and scoring at the other end. There came a point after about the 7th or 8th minute of this game where Carlton started to wrestle the ball back through the middle and not allowing Collingwood to run that ball so freely into their forward line. Then the next step was, what do we do in our forward line? Because we're just kicking it up, and Howe's marking it, Moore's marking it, Maynard's getting it, because Maynard's had the most possessions, I think. Yep, close to it. Now we have to go a bit deep. We're going to get over the top and we're going to run the ball. So both sides have had a go at that, and both times they've scored from that sort of stuff.
Opportunities have been there. I'm glad you said that exact minute mark, because that's what I was going to say. At the 7 or 8 minute mark, I think both of us were worried.
Yeah.
We're thinking, oh, hang on. Carlton aren't going to be able to keep up with them here. Collingwood are on fire. Carlton are just bombing it back. I think I might have said it's going to be an intercept party.
Yeah.
And they just kept giving it back. From that moment onwards, though, it shifted. And that's real credit to Carlton to be able to do it in-game against the best team in the competition. A lot of it was on the back of the fact they won the contest, plus 10. But I love this stat for them. Stats sometimes lie. Ground ball gets 22 Carlton, only 6 to Collingwood.
Yeah.
So that's about getting over and outnumbering at the next contest. There's a bit of a spill. The ball bounces away. The next person in, who is it?
Yeah.
Is it Carlton or it's Collingwood? Well, in the quarter, it was Carlton. Now, that's Collingwood's strength.
Yeah,
when I think they get around the ground, they outnumber, and then they win it back and they explode again through great handball. Carlton matched them and beat them in that area, which is a really great sign. Can they sustain it? Of course, I think perhaps not.
Both sides haven't been able to. That's
exactly.
the test. Oh, that's a great test, though. Why not have this test going into a final series if you can make the finals?
Yep.
It's a great overview of the game so far. Scores level as we enter the second term. A couple of lead changes in quarter number 1. 22 points apiece as we start the second. Cox doing the ruck work for Collingwood, but straight to Chera. Gets the centre break for Carlton. Kicks to centre half forward. Motlop's onto it. Short pass to Owies, who marks a step inside the 50.
Yeah, smart play. I don't know if it was 15 metres, but it was smart play.
Lays off a hand pass to Saad. Needs to get his left leg free. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Curnow crashes the pack. No mark, no free. Spills to Quaynor. Took on the tackler, lost. Ball comes out. Markov cleans it up. Hand pass to Nick Dacos. Away to Josh. He gives it to Begoe, who kicks Collingwood down the wing.
Taking off after it is McStay, but he won't be able to control it. It goes over right in front of the interchange gates. It'll be a boundary throw in right in front of Hodgie.
Sorry.
Kel, it is, and Mick, it is noticeable. It is a Collingwood home game. I think it's genuinely 50-50. There's just as many Carlton supporters here as there are Collingwood, which is remarkable for a Magpie home game with such a big membership base, as Craig Kelly told us about pre-game.
Yeah, the Navy Blue in full voice with this one as well. We're all tied up early stages of the second quarter.
You coach both teams. Mick, who had the loudest supporters? Was it Collingwood or Carlton?
Collingwood.
Which was your favourite team, Collingwood or Carlton?
Richmond. See, I'll get you anyway, Carl. I could have said another thought.
One of these days, I'm going to catch you off guard. One of these days. Boundary throw in front of the Pies bench this time. Squeezed kick there from Josh Dacos. Made it difficult for Lipinski. Couldn't control it. Here's Hewitt emerging with it, playing his 150th tonight. Kick to a 2-on-2 at half forward. Howell, the bigger player in the pack, takes the mark over the top of Motlop.
Yeah, you either body him or bring the ball to the ground, because he's going to outmark you every time.
Howe wants to go into the centre, and almost a mark taken by the Pies. Nick Dacos is there at ground level. Handballs to DeGoey. Gives it over the top to McCreary, who can make amends. He missed a sitter up the other end in the opening term, and he's missed it again. He's offline, hasn't got his kicking boots on tonight. And so now it's the Pies with that single point. Give them a 1-point lead.
Wiedering marks the kick out. Hand pass away to McGovern. Long down the wing, and Cripps is all alone.
Too slow, Paddy.
A monster game he played late last year against this opposition in what was ultimately a losing cause. He goes very short to Newman. About Hodgie telling us earlier about McCreary coming off apologising to the coach on the bench. Did you ever get any players apologising to you, Mick, mid-game?
I've got to say, I don't like that during the course of a game. We all know no one means to miss them. Concentrate, let the coach concentrate.
On to the next one. As Kemp goes long down the line to a pack, and it spills off hands and out of play. Josh Dacos pushed him back.
You know what my coach would have said if I tried to do that? I don't care. Go and care about the next moment.
Yeah.
Josh Dacos goes short to Howe for Collingwood in front of the Carlton bench.
Similar to what you're saying, Mick. Don't bother me with that. Get on to the next thing.
You two are old school, though. You know.
Yeah, we are.
No,
we really are.
DeGoey's got it again. Over to Josh Dacos. Goes to an awkward-looking kick, a one-on-one in Lipinski and also Sard. It's the boundary line that wins in the end.
You know what Craig McRae would have answered to? Probably similar. In a nicer way. He would have just said, forget about it. You can't change it. You can't get that shot back. Care about the next moment.
Do you text like acronyms like laughing out loud and LOL? There's one OTTNO, which means on to the next one, which maybe that's the modern coach. Just send the acronym back.
I learned one this week. DTE. We'll give Mick to the final siren and see if we can work it out. Okay, it's Collingwood by a point, and they've Blues with possession. Charlie Curnow's marking at Blues fans. Problem is he's got it right in front of the benches.
Yeah, and Collingwood got numbers. That's why he can't kick the football. A lot of numbers back behind the ball.
So he drives it long. 2-on-2 down there. Picknett was the target. He pushed his opponent out, got his hands to it. Couldn't clunk the ball, Motlop. That was exciting. A little passage of play, though. Pendlebury picks it up. Works the handball backwards to Darcy Moore. And then on to Murphy. Now they've got the run in waves. This is Lipinski using Markov. Back to Lipinski. Kick was bunted down, though. To go in with the soccer trips. He's been watching the McKilders. He got it over to his teammate McStay, who was caught, pinged, holding. Umpire says holding the ball.
I reckon they're stiff, Carlton here. I don't want to take sides, but Newman. That's Carlton had the free kick.
Newman basically trying to get clarity from the umpire whether it was advantage or not, and then he's been picked for holding the ball. The kick hit for Collingwood heads down to DeGoey. He's tackled. He was tackled high.
No,
it's a high fend-off.
Yeah, so called.
A high fend-off. So Carlton free kick. Gee, they're on edge, the supporters of both teams. Big crowd in at the G. Yeah. Carlton with the footy at half-back. McGovern short to Hollands.
Just fended him in the face. It was there.
Hollands kicks down the wing. Cox floats through, takes the intercept mark for Collingwood.
Charlie.
He's hurt Curnow. He's hurt Curnow as he floated across. We'll get down to Hodgie very shortly. He's up on his feet, Charlie Curnow. Meanwhile, Cox has kicked further down the ground. McStay's marked it just outside 50. Wheels around onto the left. Doesn't go for home. He slips over. It affects the kick. It's coming back, is it?
No, it's downfield.
Downfield. Oh, now there's push and shove. So I think McStay was dealt with after he got the kick away. And guess who's in the middle of it? Maynard. McGovern's gone to him. Markov comes in to help out Maynard. Push and shove. Kick downfield.
Oh, yeah,
it's McCreary that'll take it, which will give the Collingwood fans a bit of the collie wobbles. So what happened?
It was Mitch McGovern as McStay kicked it.
It's as he kicked the football. That umpire, that is as he's kicked the football. That's why the ball hasn't actually got there.
McCreary missed the first, missed the second. This one right in front, and he doesn't let Craig McRae down this time. No apologies from Beau McCreary. He's back in the coach's good books. 4-5-29 Collingwood, Carlton 3-4-22. It's the Pies by 7 points. Opening stages of this second term.
Well, just watching Nick Newman, he's questioning the umpire. I don't know if it was what happened to him earlier.
Yeah, it was.
Or what happened there with McGovern, but he wants some clarity. I think we all want a little bit around whether or not that was actually late or as McStay kicked it. It seemed to be as he kicked it. Fair bit going on at the moment, it's fair to say, Mick. But
that's dangerous. Paddy Cripps has pushed Maynard, and Curnow has gone over him, but taking the legs out. That's not good. I don't think there's any intent by Paddy Cripps, but
there's a lot happening right now.
It won't do Curnow any good.
Putting his own teammate in jeopardy there with trying to throw his opponent around. Back in the middle, it's Collingwood by 7 points. Cameron wins the hit out. DeGoey's pushed off it illegally. Free kick. DeGoey, no, going against him.
Curnow's still out there, which is a good sign.
So it's a Carlton free kick. Short pass finds Doherty as Chera was rewarded. Gee, it's all going on. And there's the long kick inside the forward 50. Bounces straight off the box of Jeremy Howe. There's another whistle and a free kick for Carlton.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what I said. There's a big push there.
So a push on Jack Martin.
I don't know, Mick.
You don't reckon?
I think there's a little bit of Hollywood. Is it awards season? Hands in the back, I suppose.
Well, you know, if you pay one, then you've got to pay the lot. But don't pay any of those.
Logies on Sunday might be making a little late entry. Jack Martin nurses it through. Back to a 1-point game. A second for Jack. Gee, there's a bit of intervention from the umpires, and it feels like without it, this whole game might just boil over. 8 minutes into the second term, Collingwood by 1, 4-5 to 4-4. Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse.
I don't know these umpires. Have we got the best umpires, you reckon?
Curtis DuBois, Brendan Hosking, Robert Finlay and Jacob Mollison.
And certainly not having a go at the umpires. Believe me, there's a big crowd, and you only umpire the way you see. Well, you should umpire the way you see things. We've seen now two dives.
Two very iffy free kicks.
In a game like this, let the game rumble, and it's physical. Yes, it is, because you know what? It's a physical game. But nonetheless, I don't know. Probably both sides have picked up a goal because of a free kick.
So Pies back by a point. Bounce down in the centre. Pitnet can't win it in the air. Charging into Goey with a big tackle. Was able to wrap up Cripps, and it's the Blues that take it out of the centre. Hurried kick towards Curnow. Again, he's got Darcy Moore for company. Picking it up is Martin. Spins around. It'll land in the goal square. Dropping it was Nathan Murphy. They take off after it. Josh Dacos happy to see it over. It'll be a boundary throw in. 10 metres around from the Blues goal, kicking to the punt road end. Tim, you've been keeping an eye on Charlie Curnow. Is he okay out there?
Yeah, it was just a moment. I reckon, and I haven't seen the replay, but the moment he got up, I reckon he thought he'd done his Achilles, because it just sort of popped and he couldn't see where it had come from. So, yeah, he spent some time with the physio. He did refuse to come off the ground to have it checked.
But hang on a sec, it was the boundary throw in. Cameron got it down towards Crisp. He was spun around in a tackle, and he almost just held the Sharon in his hand. He was done for holding the ball. So
yeah, Lockie Fogarty just had a great tackle. Just at the last second, grabbed that right hand. Perfectly executed tackle, and as you called, Cal, Crisp was just forced to hold onto the ball in the other hand, thinking, I can't do anything with this. Great tackle.
He tried to kick it in the end.
Yeah.
So Fogarty lining up, punt road end, 45-degree angle. Shouldn't be a problem, but it is.
They'll woo those misses.
Well, they can both through them, because they're currently all tied up 4-5 apiece at the 10-minute mark of the second term. Get down to Hodgie shortly with a bit more on Curnow, but good to see he's out there and appears to be okay.
Watching Mitchell, he just keeps racking it up. He gets in the right spots, doesn't he, Mitchell?
He took the kick out there, goes short to Noble. He goes long down the line in front of the benches. Fist comes from the back, spills to Wiedering. He can pump Carlton back down to half forward. Murphy takes the saving mark at half back. Lays a hand pass off to Noble. Both teams keen to move it as the kick goes all the way back to Howe, top of the defensive goal square. Short pass to Markov. Still in the defensive 50 for Collingwood. Scores level. 2 lead changes in the opening turn. The biggest margin was 14 points, which Collingwood kicked the first 14 points of the game. Short kick, Howe to Pendlebury. Hodgie on the boundary.
Yeah, so Curnow spent some time with the physio. The doctor spoke to him, and I think once they assured him it was okay and it was nothing serious, he's been absolutely fine ever since. So enormous relief after what was a huge scare for Charlie Curnow, but he's fine now.
Pendlebury to Maynard, kicks in the middle of the ground, spills to Newman. Blues win it back on halfway. Short kick to Hewitt. Hand pass to Chera. Man out the back. Long kick. Owies.
Oh, don't. Lingy, can I just say he needs to kick the goal?
Yep. Because he had the handball?
All he had to do, just for those that aren't watching, he takes a mark 15 metres out and Charlie Curnow is in behind him. A quick hand pass. There's no one on him. Curnow kicks from 1 metre out.
15 out, slide angle. Matt Owies moves in. Knocks it through. Blues back on top. Lead change number 3. This humdinger on a Friday night. 12 minutes into the second term. Carlton 5-5-35. Collingwood 4-5-29. Blues by 6. Cameron Ling, Mick Malthouse.
And credit again, Carlton. They were able to create the turnover at centre-half back.
Yes.
Win it back, and then the moment they won it back, I'll go back to this word that you used about 6 minutes into the game, Mick, speed.
Yep.
They took it from that half-back position where they created the turnover over the top to Owies as quick as they possibly could.
Yep.
It's what the theme is going to be all night for Carlton if they're going to be any chance.
Well, the thing is too, Lingy, before this ball's bounced, Collingwood are a very aggressive backline, so they do play a long way in front when the ball's up the ground, so to get back is a, it's a real task to get back if the ball gets turned over quickly.
Just having a look at the live ladder. Collingwood on top, Carlton 5th, and they lead this by 6 points halfway through the second term. I think the broadcaster is getting excited going with that live ladder, but just goes to show the ramifications of this one. The Blues have worked it out to the Great Southern Stand side. Kick inside 50, launches up over the top of Darcy Moore. Who do you give it to?
Has to.
Darcy Moore was in front. Curnow with the hang time, and Darcy's been awarded the mark.
That's a fair result, that.
Oh, Blues fans unhappy, Mick.
Well, he had it first.
Yeah, but Darcy Moore, rush of blood. He's kicked it straight to Doherty for the Blues, and then he goes back inside 50. Maynard spoils it. So if you told Carlton fans halfway through the second term that you'd lead by 6 points, you've got no Harry Mackay, and Charlie Curnow hasn't kicked a goal, not many of them would believe you. They're in a good position at the moment.
And down 14 earlier in the game. For the boundary throw in, Pitternet wins the hit out down to Noble. Hand pass back to Cox. His kick trickles straight to the Blues under pressure. Hewitt got a hand pass back into traffic. Pitternet squeezes the kick out. Moore knocks it away. Straight to Chera. Shoots goal when he's offline. One bounce out of play. Good result for the Blues. Boundary throw in forward pocket.
There is something truly special about a great centre forward or key forward and a key back. Both going for their marks. You used to hear about Van der Haar and Knights and battles like that. It is brilliant. Darcy Moore, every chance he gets, he's backing himself in to get it.
Yeah.
And Curnow, well, we know how good he can be.
Boundary throw in. Curnow in a tangle with Cox. Cox had his arm over Curnow's shoulder.
Well,
free kick for Charlie. 20 out straight in front.
Well, there's dissent there. And I can understand why. I reckon he's been... he has put his arm over him. But I think that because Charlie Curnow's put himself in a good position, and because Cox doesn't ruck enough, on that performance he shouldn't.
He's squatting on the mark at the moment, Mason Cox. But it's Curnow with the footy. Curnow starts his tally tonight. Off 10 last week, he's kicked his first midway through the second. And the Blue Baggers have kicked 3 in a row. Carlton lead it by 12. 6-5-41 Carlton. Collingwood 4-5-29. 12-point lead for the Blues. 15 gone second term.
And Lingy, after Mason Cox gave that free away, Maynard ran right up to him, and I reckon I could lip read He said you can't put your arm around them in a ruck contest.
Still explain the rules. Well,
can I jump in? Just watching something here on the TV screen.
Yeah, you said that too.
Nick Newman is obviously
hasn't he given to him?
and then he's run past. Mason Cox has obviously looked at Newman's number and gone, number 24, like acting as though he didn't know who he was. And like,
you know what? I don't think he's acting.
Doesn't matter, Mick. I spoke to my 5-year-old nephew Lenny on the phone today.
Yes.
He lives in Adelaide. He's been a Crows fan. He said, I now barrack for Collingwood. My favourite player is Mason Cox. I told him to wear sunnies at Auskick tomorrow.
And also I take him to Specsavers.
He said he's got some sunnies. He's going to wear them tomorrow.
Take him to Specsavers to find out why he likes Cox as his favourite player.
It's working with the kids. Doesn't matter if you know the rules or the players. Carlton by 12 points. Here's Akers. Got it inside the centre square. The Blues have got it. Doherty with a high kick to the wing. Spoil from Howe was very good. It spills the way of Akers. He turns and spins and gives it to Newman, who throws it on his boot. Goes towards Charlie Curnow. Awkward half volley to pick up for Curnow, and he couldn't. Hurried kick comes from his teammate. Inside 50, Maynard's under the pump. Oh, look the way they work it. Although the Nathan Murphy handball has gone backwards, missed its target. There's a real scrap on in the left forward pocket at the City end. There's a bit of a scrap on behind play as well between Owies and Murphy, and now Akers comes in. He's just shoved Murphy in the face.
It's on, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's hot. Everything is hot.
Yep,
Carlton's up for the contest. They're 22-9 contested possessions this quarter. They are hunting the footy, the Blues. Doing it brilliantly.
Well, this is Michael Voss's forte.
Yeah.
It's modus operandi is the contested footy.
Repeat ball ups as Cameron won it down to Jack Martin, but tackled immediately. Cameron again wins the head out, comes down to Cameron's advantage. The ruckman himself follows up. Hand pass to Moore, gives it to Mitchell, away to Josh Dacos. Surge kicks a turnover, and De Koning takes the intercept mark. High half forward for the Blues.
Well, Mason Cox should have been well in front of him just there. He's allowed De Koning to be in the right position.
Looks to centre half forward. Newman standing there, takes the mark. Jumps straight onto his preferred left foot. Kicks into the forward 50. Curnow the target and a tangle with Moore. Ball spills through to Josh Dacos. Hand pass to Noble. Away to Lipinski. Back to Mitchell. He gives it to Noble, and a short kick finds McStay. Marks at half back for Collingwood. Carlton lead it by 2 goals, 18 minutes into the second.
Here comes Mason Cox. Oh, he got a nudge in the back. He played for the free. As we mentioned earlier, the Logies are on. The umpire wasn't falling for it. Myercheck kicks up the ground, and it was to a 1-on-2. One was Adams. Two Blues. And Doherty was able to work it. He took the mark in the air, and then he just got it to Newman.
Yeah, Sam's got a potential to just test you all the time where his kicks go. He's a fantastic bloke, good player.
Short to Cottrell he goes, who goes short to Chincotta. Work it round the southern side. Martin easily outmarks Maynard, then gives it off. The run comes from Curnow. He's got it an eternity out, and look at that bomb. It went like a rocket. It landed on the chest of Owies in the right forward pocket. He doesn't like the angle. He brings it back inboard. No, Cripps gave it to Cripps, who played on and ran into not one but 2 tackles. Brought down, gone. Free kick Collingwood.
Goal gone.
Goodness gracious, captain.
Yeah, you've got to know when to hold them.
Don't say it.
Don't worry, I won't say it.
I'll back you.
Side bottom goes long down the line. Cox can't complete the mark. Spills to Sard. Sard along the boundary line. One bounce out of play. Throwing half forward for the Blues. Carlton by 12 points.
Say William Nelson, got it right.
I'll need half a dozen pots in me though before I start singing karaoke.
I won't be singing it. I might mention the words, but that's as far as it'll go.
45 out, half forward for the Blues. We're all over the pies at the moment as De Koning wins it down. Here's Cunningham for Carlton. Hand pass to centre half forward. Hollands look away. Hand pass, got it. Gives it to Cripps. Kicks to centre half forward. Bit of body and a mark to Chincotta.
That's why. So the way all the players reacted there sums up the confusion about the push in the back rule. Because when Chincotta took that mark, his Collingwood opponent McCreary, everyone just turned and go, which way are you going to pay this? Because there is a push, and I would accept probably either way, and no one knows.
So Chincotta wins the 1-on-1 with McCreary. Ump's happy with it. Chincotta's shooting on goal. And Carlton are giving the Pies all they can handle. It's 4 in a row for Carlton. The Blues lead it by a game high 18 points. Time on second term. Carlton 7-5-47. Collingwood 4-5-29. Cameron Ling, Mick Malthouse, ABC Radio and Sport Digital across the country.
I know there's a long way to go here, but was there a stage in this season where Carlton people were calling for Michael Voss to be sacked?
Oh,
right now they're about to give him a sainthood.
Yeah, every second, and no one can do it better than Carlton. Quite honestly, no one.
Don't go early, Blues fans. We're saying it's an 18-point lead.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying about Carlton are really good at trying, got to have patience. That's what Michael has done. He's shown patience.
Okay. Hodgie down there, there's been a blood rule.
Yeah, Isaac Quainer has just come off for the Magpies. His right eye, just above it, split wide open. So plenty of blood there. So he's just having that patched up. That's why there's been a delay until this bounce.
Intriguing final 6 minutes before half-time. Blues have dominated this quarter. The palm down came to Nick Dacos. He couldn't control it. Charging in and putting on his body. On the line there for the Blues was Fogarty, and then the hurried kick, and Martin takes it.
He's been a good tug up, Martin.
Yeah, and he's got it at centre-half forward. Has he got it?
He does.
But he goes short.
Bring it back.
He's lucky. Very, very lucky.
It's a turnover.
Looking to get it back to Fogarty, but he's got it from outside 50.
He's got to compose himself here. He's got the distance from here.
He's looking for someone to run past him, so I don't know whether he thinks he has. I think he has Twingy, but I don't know whether he thinks he has.
And maybe with the injuries he's had and the continuity of his footy, maybe he's lost confidence in maybe a metre or two of his kick, but
he go around it.
It's a beautiful kick.
Had 5 disposals for 2 goals. He doesn't. He dabs it to the top of the goal square. The launch from Darcy Cameron. An opportunity goes begging for Blues fans.
Yeah, there's no point doing that kick if you're not all on the same page.
I can't see Kerno. Is Kerno down there? Or is he on the bench?
Cameron
on the bench.
Short to Noble, short to side bottom, still in the back pocket.
Oh, you got a Davey Ruckman sitting in the goal square. He doesn't bleed out on it. I mean, that's where the mistake was made.
Side bottom, long to half back. Cunningham flies in the air, no mark. Falls Carlton's way. Umpire calls for it. We'll have a ball up. High half forward for the Blues. Fogarty locked up there. Throw a blanket over 15 to 18 players around this stoppage. 5 in from the boundary line, southern side. Cameron just grabs it out of the ruck, kicks it hurriedly forward. 1 bounce, out of play in front of Myercheck. Says boundary throwing. So last 4 goals of the game for Carlton. They lead by 18 points. 23 gone second term. Subs Hoskin, Elliott and Dow, neither of them used so far for the boundary throwing. Both rucks miss it. Jumping up, Newman just whacks it forward for the Blues. Still bouncing towards Carlton's goal. Moore comes up to meet it for Collingwood. Hand pass to Noble. Kicks across the half-back line. Josh Dacos takes the mark. Half-back for the Pies. Carlton by 18.
On the northern wing, he's got it. He sets a task for Adams, who had to take off after it, with a Carlton player bearing down.
The first time for a while that Collingwood didn't look like getting. They've only gone in there 4 times to the quarter so far.
Adams has given it straight up. He's kicked it straight to the opposition in Wiedering.
And they only went in about 49.5 metres at the goal.
Well, that's 5 to 12 inside the front 50. You only got 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes to play.
A different Collingwood outfit that we're used to in 2023. Oh, big collision. Martin flew in the air. It was not Martin. Yes, it was Jack Martin that flew in the air, and he collided heavily with Markov.
Yeah, but Jack Martin's got a point. He actually got his hands to the footy there, and it was incidental contact in the marking contest.
Markov has got it right in front of the Pies bench. He launches. Plenty of air in this one. Wiedering with the spoil down to Pitnet. Quick hands to Chera. They've got the exiting kick on. Newman with a little sidestep past McCreary. And out wide to Chera again. He's got it at half-back. Looking for De Koning, has to beat a couple of Pies in the air. Off hands, Martin's hot at the moment. Gets it off to Doherty. Doherty kicks over the head of Noble, where his teammate Fogarty's able to mark. He's got it at half forward, short to Cripps. A step in from the boundary, outside 50. Eyes are darting for Paddy. He's told to play on. He steps around Howe. He closes to 50. The centering kick, and he hit up a target, almost decoding. Roving was Motlop. He's pushed off it. Mitchell. Down to a Crisp, who swats it down to himself, to Cameron, who's caught. He's gone, Darcy Cameron. The umpire says play on. There's Blues players everywhere you look. Eventually it's Mitchell that gets the hurried kick out on the outer side. Side bottom Grubbers the kick. Mychek tries to fist it back in the direction of still side bottom. Big ball to be won on the southern side. Umpire's blown his whistle. Says it's coming back to the Blues. It'll be a free kick to Marchbank, who was in that scramble.
It's 30-19 contested football, Lingy.
Marchbank kicks inside 50, hand on it from Motlop, spills through to Cameron. Motlop back out after him. Lays a huge tackle. Says ball up, 30 out from the Blues goal.
Well, there's another one where we asked the question. He's taking them on, and he's gone to ground with the ball.
Yeah, gee, what a tackle too by Motlop. Half his size.
Absolutely. Never let him go. Calls for a ball up. Cameron wins the hit out again. Comes through to Crisp. Squeezes a kick out for Collingwood. Hits the boundary line. Says boundary throw in.
Well, they've changed that rule this week. And fairness. I mean, that's a football under pressure, and it's gone out of bounds. Well, it has gone out of bounds. It wasn't deliberate.
60 metres from the Carlton goal at the punt road end. The Blues have kicked the last 4 in the game. They lead it by 18 points. From the throw-in, Cameron again to head out, but straight to Hollands, heads inside 50, and Howe takes the intercept mark for the Pies, and the switch is on immediately. Out to Josh Dacos at half-back.
Oh, and he's dropped an absolute sitter, but he's got time to regather Josh. This sums them all up down to Darcy Moore, who played on the handball. Missed Nick Dacos initially. He went back and got it. Now to Markov. They work their way. McStay back to Markov. He's got speed to burn. He takes off 2 Blues in hot pursuit. Has a bounce. Kicks to the top of the goal square. McCreary flew. And he cannot get that loose ball. Boot to ball right on the goal line. So it's through for a minor score. Carlton by 17 points. 1 minute to play before half-time.
That was good by Carlton.
Wow.
I know it was a scramble. They were out. Collingwood were going to get through. They kept coming up with pace just to put a little bit of pressure on. Just were able to cause a little bit of indecision.
Saad brings it into Wiedering, goes long down the line. Jack Crisp in the box seat takes the intercept mark for Collingwood. So they win some territory battle here, keep it in their front half. Haven't had a whole lot of entries in this quarter as he kicks in the Elliott direction. Thumped away by Wiedering. Spills down to Akers under pressure. Hand pass to Hewitt. He's coughed it up. Dacos, that's Josh. Hand pass from Pendlebury away to Nick Dacos. Handball out wide to Adams. Tackled under pressure through it. Holding the ball. Or a throw, whichever you prefer. A free kick for Carlton, nevertheless.
Blues are swarming, aren't they, Mick?
Well, that's the way the contested football, as I say, the modus operandi for Vossi is to be heavily involved in the game, and they're winning hands down on the contested footy, 34-22 this quarter.
Playing out of their skin, the Blues, although Newman's kick looking for De Koning. It was Cameron that was able to pick it off. Gives it off to Maynard. Time ticking down to half-time. Long ball inside 50. Waiting at the back was Wiedering. Outmarks McStay. Last line of defence. The vice-captain's got the Sherrin in his hands. Careful, don't go early, Blues fans. But there is a standing ovation from some sections of the Navy Blue in the MCG. It is a packed house tonight. Friday night footy as good as it gets. 2 old rivals, probably the oldest rivals in 100 plus years of VFL, AFL football. It's been speedy. It's been exhilarating. At quarter time, it was all tied up at 3-4 apiece. And at half time, Carlton, after kicking the last 4 majors, lead by 17 points. 7-5-47. Collingwood 4-6-30. The goal kickers, Jack Martin's had a couple. Singles to Charlie Curnow, Chincotta, Owies, Motlop and McGovern. And for the Pies, all single goal kickers, McCreary, McStay, Cameron and De Goey. The stage is set. A huge weekend here at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Collingwood and Carlton. Tomorrow night it's the Bledisloe. Sunday it is Richmond and Melbourne. And then Monday night across the road it is the Matildas and Canada. Doesn't get any better than this for sports lovers, Corby.
Couldn't be better set up. So have a listen to these numbers. In the competition this year, if you lead at half-time, you win 78.5% of all games. So,
well, can I just ask you one question? When Collingwood trail at half-time, how many do they win?
Exactly.
This is the 7th time they've trailed at half-time this year. They are 5-1. They've lost 1 game when trailing at half-time and won 5. Meanwhile, Carlton, they have 8 wins, a draw and a loss from their previous 10 times they've led at half-time. So it's a 17-point lead for the Blues at half-time, having kicked the last 4 in the game. The thoughts of Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling.
I'm blown away, Mick. I am so impressed by Carlton. I know it's only a half. I get that, and I get Collingwood are going to keep going to the last second of this game, and Carlton need to as well. But just in a half of football, let's take it from the 8-minute mark of the first quarter to completely shift and understand what they were doing wrong, to change early quarter, in that first quarter. From that moment onwards, they have been unbelievably impressive. Better than I even thought they would or could be. Their hunt around the football has been outstanding. You kept mentioning those contested ball numbers in that second quarter. Brilliant around the clearances, brilliant around the hunt, brilliant with their own pressure back at Collingwood. I mean, Nick Dacos and Josh Dacos have had 13 and 12 disposals.
Yeah, still good.
But they're not those game-breaking, incredible ones that we've seen throughout this part of the season. We haven't seen Collingwood really badly break them open after that 8-minute mark of the first term. I've got to say, I am super impressed, Mick. Well, granted, it's a half.
Yeah, you're right, Ling. You know, if you cut it even further, Collingwood kicked the first 2 goals, so they've kicked 2 goals to 7 since that moment. Yep. Now, that's a bit of a walloping. But you've still kicked 2 goals, so you add that on, that's 4 goals to 7. So there's not a lot in it. But the shame of it would be a side like Carlton, when you look who's in the 8, don't make the 8.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be in their hands. We know that's going to be in their hands because it's so close. But if they make the 8,
are you saying they should have a wild card weekend?
Not under any circumstances. but if they make, because there's always a good side outside the 8.
Yeah.
Because they run into form, but they leave it too late or whatever the case. Well, it could have been Carlton last year. They were probably the best side outside the 8. Well, they finished 9th, so they probably were. But when you analyse the way they've played against Collingwood, and as you say, it's half time, and Corby, you've mentioned all those stats. Collingwood will come back, but Carlton have done enough in the last 5 weeks. This is not all we're blinded by this Carlton. No, they've had 5 good weeks, and it doesn't matter who you play. You still got to win, and you've got to win well. So what we've seen here is, and I think I mentioned early before the game started, that the sides, you either lock Collingwood down or you play the same sort of play. So the goals that Carlton have got, Collingwood are very aggressive in their back line. They've allowed almost, when it's a turnover, they're not used to these turnovers.
Yeah.
And when you can penetrate past that, we always there kicked the goal. We said that Curnow was already past him. I mean, there's 2 players that were free at the back. I think there was another couple of goals there. Motlop earned his. McGovern got one on the end. Martin got one of his.
Yeah.
So this game is falling into place the way Carlton do it. Can Craig McRae change things up? I don't know what he can change up except appeal to their never say die attitude and get back to what Collingwood do best, which is win the footy.
And those Carlton goals that you're talking about came by playing the way they've played for the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, but also they're almost Collingwood-type goals. Create a turnover and then go back through like lightning. The only thing I'll say about Carlton's way of playing, it is very labour-intensive. Because it relies on huge contested ball numbers, and it relies on great clearances, and it relies on constant great pressure, hunting. And Collingwood's way of playing is labour-intensive as well, but we've seen
they've used to it,
trust that Collingwood can do it for an entire game. We haven't yet seen it, I don't believe, that even though with their results recently, that Carlton can do it for an entire 4 quarters, 120 minutes, against the very best teams.
Yeah.
But I've just witnessed it for the majority of the first half. And I am almost blown away by how good it is and how good it can be. If they show me even 3 quarters of the second half playing like that, then I'm 100% with you, Mick. Carlton are in the 8, and Carlton are doing some damage in the 8. Well, that is an outstanding brand of football they've played in that first half.
Now, I'll throw some figures at you. We know that Corby throws figures everywhere. Contested ball, 66-44. So if you're sitting in Collingwood's room, you go, boys.
Plus 22 for Carlton.
At this stage. You're looking at clearances, 19-13. And Collingwood are renowned for their clearances.
Yep.
Inside 50s, 30-20. Now, that's a direct correlation to the contested footy.
Yep.
If you look at the correlation between that is a contested footy correlation, 2/3. And So the stats say 175 to 170, but it's where you get them. That's the possession rate. But that correlation, if Carlton can even just go head-to-head with that correlation and get the ball inside their front 50 on their terms, and even if Collingwood get them on their terms, you would suspect that 17-point lead would be challenged, but it could be enough.
And can I paint... So you dominate the contested possessions. They're kicking at 70% or just under efficiency, which is very good. And that leads to those 30 inside 50s, as you say, and then they score. My worry is if Collingwood can even the contested possession up. I'm not saying they need to jump ahead of them.
And they will.
Just even it up. And they, through either fatigue or a bit more increased pressure from Collingwood, that kicking efficiency goes from 70% to 65%. But they've had half a dozen or 8 less opportunities to kick the ball because contested possessions even back up. Collingwood are back in this game in a hurry, and they score in a hurry as well.
Cameron Ling and Mick Moldhouse half-time at the MCG. It's the Blues by 17 points. Off the SMS, Tim in Applecross, bloody brilliant Blues. Pretty happy Carlton fan. And Judy on the other side of things says, please don't go early. Terrified Carlton supporter here. Collingwood are the comeback kings from Judy. So 0437 774 774. Sport everywhere tonight. The cricket, of course. You can hear it through the ABC Listen app. Look out for the red cricket ball. Australia 1 for 82. So trailing by 201 runs. Khawaja and Labuschagne still there. We're just past the first hour of play on day 2. And also through the ABC Listen app, look out for the ABC Sport button, which is the green one. You can hear all the NRL there. And tonight the Melbourne Storm are playing across town 24-10. They lead the Eels, so more than 2 converted tries in it. That's down the road at Docklands. In fact, it's half-time there as well, so 24-10, the Storm over the Eels. Hard to leave this one, though, if you're even if you're a casual footy fan. It's Carlton by 17 points at half-time over the table-topping Magpies, who have lost only twice in season 2023. Second half action around the corner. Don't forget our full chat with the Collingwood Chief Executive Craig Kelly is available to listen to on the ABC Sport website. Just look in the Sport audio section. It was a fiery chat with Kelly Underwood and Craig Kelly going head-to-head, so you can hear that through the website as well, abc.net.au/sport. Second half action around the corner, but first the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. The man accused of murdering a 14-year-old Tasmanian girl is behind bars tonight after facing court for the first time. Here's Erin Cooper-Douglas.
Cheyenne Lee Tattenall was last seen in Launceston on April the 30th. This week, police, state emergency service workers and volunteers took part in the largest search operation ever undertaken in northern Tasmania. On Wednesday evening, human remains police believe belonged to Cheyenne Lee were found at Nabola, 45 minutes northeast of Launceston. Yesterday, police charged 36-year-old Scottsdale man Christopher Mark Jordan with the murder of Cheyenne Lee. Appearing briefly in the Launceston Magistrates Court, Mr Jordan didn't enter a plea or apply for bail. He's been remanded in custody to reappear on the 16th of August.
2 people are dead after 2 planes collided in mid-air at Caboolture, north of Brisbane. A third person survived the accident at Caboolture Airfield. Queensland's Police Minister Mark Ryan says support is being provided to those involved.
Our hearts go out to the family and friends and also those first responders and those on the scene, because it's obviously a very tragic and traumatic event at the Caboolture Airfield.
A climate psychologist says it's important to stay engaged with news around climate change despite feelings of anxiety. New data from the UN and the EU's top climate agencies reveal that 21 of the 30 hottest days ever recorded have occurred this month. It's not the first time records have been broken in recent history, and a study conducted by the University of Melbourne found 1 in 4 young people are very or extremely concerned about climate change. Dr. Sally Gillespie says being active in your response can ease feelings of anxiety.
It's important that you don't read every report to the point you get overwhelmed. Be informed and care for yourself. There is research to show that climate campaigners who are well engaged and well networked actually have an increase in psychological resilience and a strong sense of life meaning and purpose.
The French President, Emmanuel Macron, has wrapped up a visit to Papua New Guinea with funding committed for a forestry program. Here's PNG correspondent Tim Swanston.
Concluding his tour to Pacific Island nations, French President Emmanuel Macron met with PNG Prime Minister James Marape for talks over climate change and deforestation. Mr Marape described the meeting as very fruitful, and an agreement was signed between the European Union and PNG, with funding committed from the EU for a forest, climate change and biodiversity program. The announcement comes as France looks to strengthen its ties in the Pacific outside of the French territories to offer an alternative to the US and China.
Environment Victoria says the state government's decision to ban gas in all new homes from next January isn't a surprise. Victoria has the highest use of residential gas in the country, with around 80% of homes connected. Environment Victoria is concerned about the emissions from gas, which it says is becoming more expensive than renewables. Organisation's chief executive, Jonathan Lenoz, says while gas provides jobs for many workers across the state, phasing it out is inevitable.
Today's announcement will have no impact on the workforce in Bass Strait. Today's announcement will ensure that in future, as our gas supplies dwindle, we do not have to import fracked gas from overseas or from other states.
The New South Wales Premier admits he's concerned about the country's biggest home builder, which will be investigated by the New South Wales Consumer Watchdog. New South Wales Fair Trading will open an investigation into Metricon after receiving more than 60 complaints about the builder since March, mainly about its quality of service. Metricon says it'll work with Fair Trading and is confident the matters will be resolved quickly. Chris Minns says the system is working to protect consumers.
I just say that all companies are subject to strict rules in relation to consumer protections in the state, and if action needs to be taken by Fair Trading, that's exactly what will happen.
Tourists in the UK are being warned to stay away from sick or dead birds that have washed up on beaches as avian flu continues to ravage wild populations. Thousands of infected seabirds have been found along the UK coastline as the largest outbreak of a normally seasonal virus stretches into summer. Animal protection officials have warned that the spread among seabird populations is a crisis that could become a catastrophe. And a team of international researchers say that they've revived ancient worms found in the frozen soil of Russia's Siberia region. DNA analysis shows them to be a previously unknown species. It's believed the worms have been dormant for around 46,000 years. That's the latest ABC News.
For exclusive access to extraordinary people, stream great chats on ABC iView.
There's always two parts to every story.
With intimate interviews from Louis Theroux and ABC Of.
You can't afford to show weakness.
Emotional insights on Take 5 with Zan Rowe.
Music was always my way out.
And probing questions in Stuff the British Stole.
This is like art as a detective novel.
Great chats and fascinating facts whenever you like. Stream it all for free on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Short kick to Hewitt, hand pass to Chera, man out the back, long kick, Owies! 15 out, slide angle, Matt Owies moves in, knocks it through, Blues back on top. Henry Joe in, Curnow in a tangle with Cox. Cox had his arm over Curnow's shoulder. Free kick for Charlie. 20 out straight in front. He's squatting on the mark at the moment, Mason Cox. But it's Curnow with the footy. Curnow starts his tally tonight. And the Blue Baggers have kicked 3 in a row. Carlton hand pass to centre half forward. Hollands look away, hand pass, got it. Gives it to Cripps. Kicks to centre half forward. Bit of body and a mark to Chincotta. So Chincotta wins the one-on-one with McCreary. Ump's happy with it. Chincotta's shooting on goal. And Carlton are giving the Pies all they can handle. The Blues lead it by a game high 18 points.
Was there a stage of this season where Carlton people were calling for Michael Voss to be sacked? Oh, right now they're about to give him a sainthood.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Not sure we're quite ready for the smoke up the chimney just yet when it comes to Michael Voss and the Blues, but the sainthood could be on the way. I think that's for the Pope, but there'll be some sort of religious sort of connection there and all of that, I'm sure. This is Grandstand AFL Friday night footy. It is Carlton by 17 points over the Collingwood Magpies at half-time. They've lost just 2 games for the whole season, the Pies, and they're going to have to do it from behind again. It is brilliantly set up. You've got the best comeback team in the competition, down by 17 against the underdog on a Friday night. Now, the SMS number is 0437 774 774. Listening in from the Oval in south-west London. Collingwood's traditional jumper is black with white stripes. It would solve everything. They need to revert to that. It only changed in Eddie's time about 20 years ago. That's from Steve from Pran, who's on a European holiday. He's listening at the cricket to his footy team play on the other side of the world, which is a great way to do it. So, Steve, great to have you with us, and hope you're enjoying the cricket there. The Aussies a little slow.
Yeah, stay awake, Steve, because Labuschagne 7 off 72 balls is not going to keep you really awake.
This is the opposite of Bazball, isn't it? Slow going by the Aussies. 1 for 82, 70 minutes into play. On the second day, you can hear that through the ABC Listen app. G'day, Corby. Grant here in Hobart, driving home, listening to the best. Go Carlton. From Ken in Port Augusta says, go you Pies. And great calling. Turn the TV off. It's better listening to the ABC. Thanks from Bill. Bill from Talbot. Off the SMS 0437 774 774. So Aussies 1 for 82 in their first dig. Storm 24, Eels 10, halftime at Docklands down the road. It's a 17-point advantage for Carlton here as we're moments away from the second half. Both teams back out on the ground conducting their preliminary warm-up. Now, a bit of footy news around the place today. First of all, Sunday teams. The big shock is Jade Gresham axed by St Kilda. He's out of contract. He's a free agent. There's no room for him in Ross Lyon's team this weekend for their game.
Had a great year last year. It was last year, a great year. It was, wasn't it? He's a very smart player.
So they play Hawthorn, which is all of a sudden, it's a few weeks ago, you think, the Saints will take care of business there.
No, not with Sicily back.
The way they're going, the Hawks, and the way St Kilda have flat out beating North Melbourne and West Coast in recent weeks. So, danger game for the Saints. Docklands early fixture on the Sunday. The middle game is Melbourne and Richmond. Harrison Petty's been picked to play forward, so Ben Brown's been dropped and Grundy's got another week in the VFL. So no Grundy, Petty to play. Richmond are unchanged. They did name Jaden Short last night, but he's actually fallen out of the 26 tonight. So another week away before he returns, their best and fairest winner, of course, in a premiership year. And the other game is North Melbourne West Coast. So Luke Edwards, the only inclusion for the Eagles. Petrevski-Seton suspended, Shuey hamstring. And Robert Hanson Jr. has been named to make his debut. He's a mid-season recruit out of Subiaco, so he gets to make his debut in Perth for North Melbourne. Simpkin also comes back. Jack Zeeble is out of the 22, and he also announced his retirement today, Jack Zeeble.
So he's out of the 22. That's a shame. It's a shame. Would like to see him. Look, he's a warrior, Jack.
Yep. Announced his retirement today.
Yeah.
How would you sum up his career? A warrior.
A warrior. One-eyed Collingwood was supported before he was drafted.
That Jack was?
Yeah. And I know at the time I was coaching and thinking, well, how do we get this bloke? Because North had a pick before because he's just going to be a hard player. I don't know how many finals he played, but I know he read his retirement. And it wasn't from the heart, but he read it. But he did say, got the most out of myself. I gave everything I could to North Melbourne. You know what? He is absolutely right on. He gave everything he possibly could. He wasn't a quick player. Anyway, good on you, Jack.
Those 2 years where they made prelim finals back-to-back years, he was really big in those. Terrific person, terrific player. But as you said, got the absolute most out of his career.
Carlton by 17 points. Second half upon us on Grandstand AFL. You're with Kelly Underwood.
And it's Cameron and Pitternet that tangle. Pitternet palms it down. Chera tries to get there first. He's got Nick Dacos for company, who tackles him to the turf. It's going nowhere. Great halftime entertainment. Kiss Cam working beautifully here in front of a sellout crowd just about at the MCG. 70 or maybe even 80,000 in tonight. Crowd are riding every bump of this wonderful game and enjoying the entertainment at halftime as well. Now there's a free kick there in the centre square. It goes to De Goey. He wants to move it quickly. Handball's off to Maynard, and then Maynard was put down after he got rid of it. Free kick down the field, doesn't matter. Mychek's got it. 60 out, directly in front. Spears it. Oh, it's bounced off the chest of McStay in the end. Comes the way of Newman. His handball ricochets in the way of Jamie Elliott. Off to Josh Dacos with the snap. Perfection. Josh Dacos, 35 metres out, received the quick hands from Jamie Elliott, threw it on the right boot, and just what the doctor ordered after trailing by 17 at half-time. It's back to 11 points. in the opening minute of this term, and straight away flashed up on the giant screen is Dad Peter, and he enjoyed that one. It brought Peter Dacos, the great Peter Dacos, out of his seat.
Showing you, Wingy, before some stats about the Collingwood forward line.
Just haven't found the footy.
They haven't found the footy for one reason. Hasn't been inside their front 50 anywhere near enough. Goes in there. If that ball stays there long enough, Collingwood will swoop and
again,
excuse the pun.
A couple of the people you pointed to, like Jamie Elliott and that, involved in that there.
Yeah.
Elliott hunts around the footy, gets the ball out. Josh Dacos then finishes nicely. Yeah, you're right. Get it in there. Keep it in there. They'll get dangerous.
So one back after a 17-point deficit at half-time. It's now just an 11-point lead for Carlton, and we got repeat stoppages in the middle. Shout out to Greg too off the SMS, listening in from Lake in Doon in any other in WA. Go the Blues. Nice to hear from you, Greg and family. And a restart as Chera's kick smothered, ricochets away towards Newman, still in the centre square. The Blues win it. Hand pass to Akers, kick touched on the way through, but bounces to centre half forward. Hollins can't collect, spills to Josh Dacos. He's got it again for Collingwood. Hand pass to Crisp, releases McCreary. He's off and running downhill. Two bounces, the 1-2 with DeGoey. McCreary's hand pass to Myercheck. Off a step, kicks goalward, opposite pocket, McStay. Velcro for hands, marks in front of the behind post.
Yeah, it wasn't really well done by Brodie Kemp there. I know you can't take the body out, but he should have made more body contact first.
Right side for a left footer, opens up the angle. Low trajectory snap, he doesn't hit it. Across the goal face, lucky to score behind.
They've missed quite a few of them tonight, the Pies. Elliott,
three of
them. Check, yep, and now McStay, all in the pocket, those low curlers, step-arounds.
Carlton by 10, 3 minutes into the second half.
They've started well, though, the Pies, haven't they? They're starting to get that run, using the ball, creating turnovers themselves.
And again, on the kick-in, gave it to Sardi, put it straight down the throat of Maynard on the southern wing. Looks inboard, DeGoey wants it, he ignores him. Goes short down the line. Lipinski's got it.
Darcy Cameron just drifting down now to make Pitnet defend him, which gives those other Collingwood forwards more of a chance.
Says he's going long. Kicks
right
it along
Darcy.
the line and straight to Darcy Cameron, who juggled it and then hit the deck, and it bobbled around in there and it wasn't paid. And then a pile of players grabbed Jack Martin, who's been in everything in this contest so far. He's kicked a couple. So ball up just inside 50. Cameron to Nick Dacos. This is better by the Pies. Straightens up, hits up Pendlebury. How many times do we see those two players look for each other out there? And he looked like he had all the time in the world as he did a big U-turn, put Pendlebury under the pump, but he was too strong. All the experience of those nearly 400 games marking in front of Chera and within range.
Oh, and just didn't quite realise Quainer was there for a second. Quainer running free on his right foot, would have run to about 55, and is a beautiful kick.
Scotty is good for this.
Yeah.
Outside 50, the former skipper. Has he got 55 in that lethal left boot? In game number 376. Oh, he's run straight into the man on the mark. It's been smothered. Hurried kick out of there. Well done by Murphy. He trapped it under the pump. Faked one way, then the other. Goes out wide to Crisp. Crisp had to go back for it. But bearing down was Fogarty, was good. Gives it to Newman, and then Newman kicks out wide. And marking is Owies. In a bit of space. Looking for Curnow. He's got to bet a couple, and he does. Strong Charlie outmarks Maynard. And Quainer came in to offer a bit of assistance as well. But the leading player in the Coleman medal was just too strong.
I might be old-fashioned, but I just think when you've got a key forward like Curnow, who's leading the goal kicking, obviously is a great player, then you have a player designated to it. He doesn't find himself on a... Maynard's a strong player, but still lacks probably 2 or 3 inches when Moore or Murphy are down there. Should be on him.
So he's leading the Coleman medal coming into this game by 7. He's already kicked 1. Lining up for his second. 20 metres out, 45-degree angle, City end. The crowd will tell the story. Blues fans out of their seat. Charlie's got 2. He's got belief. He yells out, "Let's go!" And they calm and high-five and low-five and ruffle his curls. And it's Carlton 8, 5.53, Collingwood 5, 7.37, a lead back out by 16 points.
Well, those that don't know him, let me say I have had the pleasure of knowing this young man for a long time. He's humble, he is team-orientated, family-orientated. He does the game proud. He is just a ripper.
Comes from a terrific family, doesn't he?
Oh, a fantastic family.
Yeah. Obviously, big brother Ed has been around for a long time, but the rest of the family, exactly the same. He works very hard for his goals too, Charlie. Looks like a supreme athlete, like it could all come naturally and easily, but he puts in a mountain of work to sometimes make it look as easy as he does.
Up to 63 goals for the year, and a big one for the Blues as well after Collingwood came out hissing to start this second half. 16-point lead again restored for Carlton. Free kick in the middle for Tom Mitchell. He was taken high and Collingwood to get it.
They're getting enough out of Mitchell with his ball handling. Just only a pop gun kick.
Contest kick here down to half forward, and there's Wiedering.
Been very good tonight, Wiedering.
Been sensational. A lot made about the intercept marking of Moore at the other end, but he's held his own and been superb out there tonight. A short kick to Akers goes long down the line. Curnow the target. Moore wins a one-on-one here as he knocks it out of play. Right in front of Tim Hodges on the boundary. Hodgie.
Big developing story here. Adam Cerra just came off and went down the race. Paddy Dow's already taken the subs vest off and he's having a massage at the moment, although he's just been thrown. He's been thrown the subs vest back, so I reckon Paddy Dow might have jumped the gun here. But Adam Cerra is in the room, so he did come into this game under an injury cloud, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Boundary throw in right in front of the Pies bench. It trickles to the back of the pack where Akers gets it, kicks towards the boundary. It rolls, it dribbles, and
it depends what week.
Would have been deliberate, but it wasn't.
Last week it was.
Yes, it was.
So we've had some common sense talks during the week, Cal.
Yes.
It's very rare. It's not that common.
Boundary throw in 60 around from the Blues goal. Comes away to Goey. Quick hands, got it to Chris, to Josh Dacos, back to Goey. They're working in defensive 50. He puts still side bottom in under the pump. The hospital handball, he got it, he lost it. Now Quainer comes in. Yep, Blues fans, you heard, they want ball. The umpire says, not having that. And it'll be a ball up inside the centre square. It is the Blues by 16.
Collingwood have squared up the contested ball this quarter.
Peter Nat wins the hit out down to Cripps. He's tackled and a ball up again to the centre square. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Yeah, the Carlton interchange steward has just put the sub in. Adam Cerra is out of the game. Paddy Dow has just taken the subs vest off, so you can only assume maybe Cerra has done that calf again, which is such a shame after such a brilliant first half.
Certainly is. He'd be right up there leading the best and fairest, you'd have to think, Corby.
The soft tissue injury. Last week, missed one game, comes back in. Ball up in the middle of the ground, comes down the side bottom, he's tackled and will do it all again in the middle.
Collingwood are a supreme team, but when you look at their injury list, you understand why they've just been so good for so long too. It's, the medical staff, the fitness staff, they earn every cent at a footy club.
For the restart, Doherty hooks a kick to centre half forward. Tapped on once, twice, still alive, centre half forward for the Blues. Fogarty, hand pass to Hewitt, kicks inside 50, Murphy, desperate spoil. Cottrell soccers it forward, Moore had it, spoiled out of his hands by Owies. Noble trying to clean it up, handball to Howe, he's tackled over the behind line. Umpire says that's all okay, and a rush behind. Carlton's lead grows to 17 points, so Adam Cerra, big developing story, subbed out of the game early in the second half, had the hamstring awareness last week, didn't play against West Coast, and now early in the second half his night is done.
Yeah, they've rolled the dice with that one, haven't they? Coming back after missing a week with hamstring tightness. Howe on the kick in, McStay floats across in front, takes a beautiful pack mark. Quick hands to Nick Dacos, to Josh. Over his head he goes to Maynard. Maynard with a wobbler of a kick. Lucks the fortune, finds to go. He steps around Cripps. Inside 50, all by himself down there. Couldn't take the mark in the end. Was Lipinski because they were closing late, these desperate Blues defenders. Still they go. Newman does well. They get it to Akers. Wiedering. Sard, all by hand. This is done nicely to Hewitt in his 150th. He goes back and then the handball to Sard. Run through the centre of the ground. It was Marchbank that got it in there. Doherty, wider still. Fogarty. They've worked this way. It's like a puzzle for the Blues. Off to Hollands, and then hits up the hot player on a lead in Jack Martin. A step in from the boundary. It is a tight angle in that left forward pocket at the City end, but that was really patient, really mature football by Carlton.
Yeah, well thought out, wasn't it, Cal?
Oh, yeah.
And they just kept changing the angles, got through, saw a free play, used the simple target, then looked up the ground. Really good series of decision-making there from the Blues.
Martin on the set snap, 35 metres out. Has he got the curl? You bet he has. He's got magic in his boots tonight, Jack Martin. 3 goals, and the Blues out by 23 points. 9-6-60, Collingwood 5-7-37.
New game high.
Let's just get down to Hodgie because I think that sub was activated. Tim.
Yeah, it's definitely activated. Adam Chera out of this game. Paddy Dow has gone onto the ground. And you even saw Patrick Cripps come off the ground and he looked and saw that Paddy Dow was replacing him, almost like, hello, what's happened here? So I reckon he must have been near Chera when he injured himself and came off the ground and must have feared the worst when he came off and saw Dow was ready to come back on.
And Tim, just for you, he's 13-7, 20 disposal, which is the top of the game at this stage. So that's a big loss by Carlton.
6 clearances as well.
6 clearances, yeah.
Probably leading their best and fairest as well. Adam Cherry's had an outstanding year, and no Sam Walsh. Obviously, he got hurt with a hammy last week and didn't play at all tonight. Back in the middle. Carlton have kicked 6 of the last 7 goals, though, and they're going forward again. The break here from Fogarty. Kicks out to half forward. Maynard hitting up. Sockers it away. Ricochets off Cottrell. Maynard keeps it alive. Kicks down the southern wing. Meyer checks up. No mark. Blues with the numbers again. Newman's look away. Hand pass stolen. Side bottom onto it. Hand pass to McCreary. McCreary 70 out. Kicks inside the forward arc. They all fly. Waiting down Adams. Hand pass to Elliott. Kicks it. Their cold-blooded killer, Jamie Elliott, keeps them in it.
We're just going to check it, confirm the score.
And Elliott's slow to get up. He's okay, helped by 2 teammates. But he was almost tackled in the goal square, got boot the ball.
Corp saying, hang on, sorry, we're just seeing it on the screen. The soft call is behind.
Oh, so they're saying touched?
Yes.
And this is the goal line cover defence from Blake Acres, which is proving to be a goal-saving effort.
If in fact it isn't. I don't know. I reckon Elliott gets his boot to it.
Yeah, gets the boot. Does it go through the hands?
Well, it may well go through the hands.
After.
Yeah.
You're looking at the bottom of the screen. I'm looking at the top where Acres collects him high in the shoulder and head. So I reckon Elliott's a bit groggy after this.
I agree, Cal. But also I reckon it's going to be called a goal. I think there's enough there for me to overturn it. So not that it's me overturning it, but I would.
Big goal in the context.
It's just there. That's the one that they're going to do.
It's not definitively.
No, so therefore
that's a better angle, that one.
The Carlton fans behind the goals are up and cheering. I imagine the soft call's going to stand here as we get the result on the big screen. It's umpire's call. It's touched. Blues by 22. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
This is not good news for Adam Chera. Carlton's confirmed to us that he came into the game with calf issues. They fear it's a hamstring he's done, which has ruled him out of this game.
Yeah.
It's terrible news.
Bit of pressure off the one part of your body and the other part absorbs it.
Another hamstring victim. Sam Walsh is obviously on the injured list with the same injury. Here go the Pies. The kick in was stolen. Loose ball in the centre. Quaynor flicks it in front of Sidebottom, who flicks it onto Josh Dacos. Got time to assess his options. Motlop bearing down. He goes for a 2-on-2. McStay with the launch. He's done that a couple of times tonight. That is a lovely mark. Just timed it better than the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
It's whenever Brody Kemper's getting caught out on him.
He's not going with him.
No, and he just doesn't have the size or experience to do it. And what Myercheck is doing, Brody Myercheck, he's staying dangerous and leading and dragging Wietering away from that contest.
Yes.
McStay v Kemp, Collingwood have the advantage.
Okay, on the set approach, and he converts McStay with his second. Return from injury back in round 18. And Pies fans happy to have him back in this side. A much-needed goal for Collingwood. And they trail by 16 points. 6-8-44. Carlton really put their foot down in that second term, and 9-6-60.
And that's what we talk about, Mick, when we're talking about forward lines who work well together. When you've got a Myercheck taking a Wiedering out, when you've got an Elliott making a move so his opponent goes, because they know what the ultimate matchup they want is. McStay's got the advantage over Kemp, so let's isolate him.
Yeah, and you can just see it. I'm just watching the replay there. He's got no idea where he is. And the way you overcome it, Lingy, as a coach, is that you appoint Wiedering to say you will be fullback to 30 metres out, 40 metres out, and I don't care who you can swap over from Jamie Elliott for Loki. That's your man.
2 goals each in the quarter. Still Carlton by 16. Both rucks miss it. Comes down Carlton's way. Dow's hand pass and turnover. De Goey. Big fend off to Dow. Chest out. Kicks goalward. Misses everything. Oh, Jordan De Goey. Put his palm straight into the chest of Batty Dow, who's fresh on the ground. And the finish just let him down. It would have been on every highlight reel.
Had the power, not the precision.
Carlton by 16, 17 gone in the third.
Cincotta takes the free kick, works its way to Pitnet, quick hands over to Akers, looping handball to Curnow, bearing down on him is Crisp. He got him. Now it's a 50-50 ball. Crisp goes and picks it up. Handballs to Mitchell. Zigged one way, zagged the other. The high handball to Lipinski. Puts him under enormous pressure, and he was tackled by Newman.
This is where Carlton will have to stand up, because Collingwood, you can just sense they've lifted all over the ground, particularly with their aggression at the footy.
Cox beats Pitnet to the ball, loops it up in the air. Mitchell just grubbers it inside 50. Elliott went without it. It's all Blues there. Oh, unable to pick it up. Almost a fumble there from Boyd. He couldn't pick it up. Comes the way of Wiedering. Wiedering with a Kemp, rather, I should say, that had the fumble. Off to Wiedering, the long kick, but it's all Collingwood right in front of the Blues bench. They share it around by hand. Chris tries to get around to Hewitt, he can't. He gives it to Lipinski. They've overpossessed it by hand, trying to barge his way through in there, but unable to pick it up was Maynard. And they do well. Lipinski, Newman. It's like a jump ball, and the umpire says, give it to me. I'll throw it up in the air right in front of the Blues bench. Carlton by 16 points, 18 gone in the third term.
2 goals each for the quarter. Real game of footy on this Friday night as Newman just hands it out to Cripps rather. Hurried kick forward. Chera off the ground moments ago with a hamstring concern. Curnow takes the mark on the wing. Kicks in the middle of the ground for Carlton. Marchbank's got it. They try out the southern side. Kick in front of Akers. Runs onto it on the bounce. Gets onto his right boot. Lofted ball back to Marchbank, who's run down to half forward. Marchbank has it 60 metres out, lays the hand pass back to Akers. Same players involved. He wastes that.
Yeah, he's wasted it. And Martin was free too.
Puts it out on the full.
And at the very least, he had Curnow one out. It was Darcy Moore, but it was one-on-one with no help at a really dangerous deep part of the ground as a bailout option.
Carlton by 16 points, 19 minutes gone in the third term. Carlton by 16.
The Pies kick it out of the defensive 50. It's going to come straight back in because Dow got it. The sub. Oh, Jack Martin flew. Couldn't quite take it at ground level, though. Charlie Kearney picks it up. Curnow with the miraculous goal. He's a goal-kicking machine, this guy. He's got 3. Fresh from his 10 last week. And the Blues extend their lead back out to 22 points. 10-6-66. Collingwood 6-8-44.
I reckon that started around about, say, 4 or 5 minutes ago to now, and I reckon the next 4 or 5, that'll be a 10-minute block where Collingwood have just thrown everything at them. If Carlton can hold up, they will probably start to believe. And I know what Collingwood want in the last quarter, so let's look at just the third quarter. But Collingwood were making inroads because of that body press. They just pressed it forward, and because they got good touch and good ground players, but Carlton been able to put a bit of a wedge in it and stop it. So I reckon the next 5 minutes, and that'll take us almost through to a few minutes before the three-quarter time. That's the testing time now for the Blues.
Mick Moldhouse on grandstand AFL, so the Pies throwing punches, Carlton absorbing them and answering back with a few of their own. Pitternet down to Dow, squeezed the kick forward to Goey, had it, lost it under pressure to Akers. He spun around, didn't release the footy, holding the ball. Free kick Collingwood.
Well, double umpire holding the ball there.
He just gets the one free kick though, as Howe goes short out to Pendlebury.
Synchronised holding the ball signals.
Marks on the logo, goes further wide. to McCreary, who's got it between wing and half forward. Long kick inside the attacking arc. Mason Cox and McStay drops in front of him, reaches up and plucks it for the Magpies.
Yeah, this is the big concern. McStay, I think it's Marchbank on this occasion, but he just could not go with him at all. They were all tied up with Wiedering on Myercheck. I don't know who it was on Cox, Mick. I kind of missed that. But they were so tied up on those two players.
Yep.
McStay now is just timing his run nicely to float in. He's the real threat up there.
Multiple goals in all 3 games on his return. Dan McStay, he misses near side. So he's kicked a couple, but he's missed a few as well. Carlton by 21, as many minutes gone, third term. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Will Hoskin-Elliott, the Magpie sub, has been subbed into the game. He's gone straight onto the ground. They still haven't actually put the paperwork in, so I'm not sure how this plays out for the Magpies. No one's been given the subs vest. I'll come back to you.
Okay, well, the Magpies have got it right in front of you where Maynard picks it up off the grass. He goes along. Blues flew, split each other in the air. Free kick against the Pies.
I reckon it'll be Tom Mitchell. I had a guess, just because as a tactical one, because Mitchell's just not quite.
No, he's not penetrating.
No.
Not penetrating enough.
Free went to Wiedering, and that's the Pies fans who didn't like it at all. They're getting frustrated. Wiedering kicked up towards De Koning in the air. He got his hands to it at ground level. Wonderful smooth mover is Nick Dacos. Quick hands, he gets it back. Awkward little kick, goes long down the line. Had a bit too much on it for Lipinski. Here's Pendlebury to Myercheck. Handballed it back, but it was too hot for Pendlebury, who was sneaking past the boundary line, and then if he had the speed, he could have wheeled around in the pocket for a goal. But instead, he fumbled it through his hands.
You're watching Michael Voss now. Will he make a move with Wiedering? Because that's where the damage has been and can be done.
Chincotta tackles Nick Dacos, as the ball was spun back into play. So now we're 45 metres out, 45-degree angle from...
Jeremy Howe's gone forward.
I was going to say the Blues goal because I saw him down there, but it's the Collingwood goals. Mason Cox has been subbed out, we're hearing. We'll get back to Tim very shortly. In the meantime, here's Jesse Motlop in space. Handballs back. Crisp gets it. Tackle. Gave it to Noble. Off to still side bottom. To Lipinski, all by hand, and then he's able to hit up a teammate right on 50. It's Cameron. Cameron kept giving it back to Lipinski, who kept running. Wobbly old kick inside 50. Disappointing result. And McGovern. That's as easy a mark he would ever take, Mitch McGovern.
Upset well and truly brewing here at the G as Kemp marks against the boundary line, goes short to Akers at half-back. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Yeah, so just confirming Mason Cox is subbed out of this game. It took Collingwood forever to actually announce who it was going to be, and Mason Cox still hasn't got the subs vest on, so I think they'll be given a please explain for that, and Cox is bitterly disappointed at the back of the bench to be out of this.
Short pass to Jim Cotter, goes long down the wing, but a turnover. Quaynell's onto it for Collingwood. Hands it to Crisp, kicks across the half-back line. Noble couldn't mark, follows up, missed. Lipinski runs onto the loose ball. The Magpies short kick down the line. How the target, McGovern closing. Great work, got the spoil in. McGovern forces the neutral ball. And a boundary throw in, 60 out for the Magpies goal. It's Carlton by 21, time on third term.
I love that Mason Cox is just upset and bewildered.
Seething, isn't he?
3 touches going at 0% efficiency. Sometimes you're just playing no good.
Got a bit of the Morris Rioli's body slumped on the boundary about him as the Pies put that one out of bounds on the full.
Well, he had no impact at all.
It's Tagoe that put it out on the full.
So they have moved Jeremy Howe forward in order to replace Mason Cox down forward line, and I like it. Just Howe started as a forward back in the day.
McGovern kicks to the wing where all the big boys are. Pitneck, quick hands. It was almost too quick for Cottrell. He's got time to pick it up, traps it, kicks down the line towards Curnow and Darcy Moore. Gee, it's been brilliant. Rather, it was Nathan Murphy this time. They've swapped all night on him.
Yeah, and that's disappointing as a forward. Curnow gets the break, 5 metre, nice lead.
Kick.
Just got to hit him.
What about 5-15 inside 50s? Collingwood have dominated this quarter. Carlton have kicked their 2 goals, or is it 3 goals? 3 goals in 5 entrances.
Yeah, 4 minutes to play in this quarter. It is the Blues by 21 points. Bouncing ball after the boundary throwing. Markov's got it off to Quaynell, who's got speed. Now to Goey, fumbles under pressure, gives it off to Chris. Well done to Lipinski. They're running in waves. This looks good if you're a Collingwood fan. Off to Hoskin. Elliott goes short, making life very difficult for Elliott. Jamie picks it up, gives it back to McCreary. High ball, no one's home. Cottrell cradles the Sharon to his chest.
Nick, I can't help but go back to one of your comments about Ruckman before. Pitnet kicking the ball and turning it over at centre-half back there, or centre-half forward for them.
Yep.
Collingwood are just going to sweat on that all day.
Blues by 21. Cottrell heads to the wing. Good mark. Cunningham moves it on to Cripps. Hand pass forward to Doherty. Fend off to Noble. Noble affects the kick. Doherty bounces one away straight to Moore of the Magpies. Hand pass to his mate Murphy. Doesn't pick it up. Slaps it on to De Goey. De Goey has to use it by foot. Kicks out wide. Hoskin Elliott marks. Crucial one-on-one that he wins. Feeds a hand pass to side bottom. High half forward. It kicks to Elliott. He marks in that channel at right half forward. He's got it 35 out.
Is that Blake Acres on the wing for Carlton there?
Yes.
Yeah, that
three.
is unforgivable.
Oh, he's made 3 terrible mistakes.
In a game that's going to be as close as what it is against a quality opposition like Collingwood, you either spoil that footy or you take a body.
Absolutely.
You cannot let your opposition mark the ball and play on and just go on.
It's a free kick at best.
And it slows it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Lights burning bright. Collingwood need a goal. The right man with the Sharon. Jamie Elliott misses. Across the goal face and behind. Carlton by 20 points. 28 gone in the third term. They've taken everything Collingwood have thrown at them in this quarter. Carlton actually edging the term. They've won the quarter by 3.
Yeah, it's amazing they've won by 3, given it's 6 to 15 inside 50s. Yeah. That doesn't happen with Collingwood too often. Carlton have made the most of it, but you can't keep going to the well. This is where we said the test would be. It's 10 minutes.
McGovern on the kicking duties, short to Saad, back to McGovern, and then he's gone long, but he's kicked it straight in the direction of Nathan Murphy. He's got it on the southern wing. Short chips it over the top to Markov. Wants to use the corridor. Instead, he just punches that kick to McCreary. Edging closer.
They've set this up well. They've got a good pocket of space in that forward line.
And he's going to kick into that space. Who's running and jumping onto it? McStay leaps. Wiedering goes to ground.
McStay actually spoiled Darcy Cameron there.
They did. And what about the channel? There was a channel there bigger than Bass Strait.
So they've left this big lake area that surrounded.
It's called Bass Strait.
Okay, right. Dacos in the pocket. Hits the post. It was a baller. Quick hands. Down to Nick in the fluorescent yellow boots. Threw it on the boot, running a million miles an hour towards the boundary. Whacked it on the post.
Kel, they've got 96 seconds to steady.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, you can see a quick goal coming. And this is where...
You almost want to say just get into three-quarter time if you can't.
Oh, and just rejig it, because Amaturo is very, very good.
McGovern short to Cottrell, goes long down the wing. So loose footy here. Defensive half for Carlton. Doherty wins it. Hand pass to Marchbank. Handball to turnover. De Goey for Collingwood. Gives it to Mitchell. Out to Maynard. Kicks wide to half forward. Josh Dacos running after it. Slips over. He's out of play with the footy.
So then Marchbank there just to make that mistake there. That's it's criminal.
So
really.
what I mean by getting into three-quarter time for those listening is you don't have to score.
No.
Just don't be scored against, because all the play at the moment is Collingwood's way.
Carlton by 19, 67 seconds left. Boundary throw in half forward for the Pies. They win it. Josh Dacos to De Goey. The 1-2 with side bottom. Now De Goey kicks deep inside 50. Wiedering flies, no mark. Hits the deck. Sweating on it. Myercheck jumps on top of the footy. He's tackled. Up circles. Holding the ball.
Well, that's a saviour for Carlton, because the Blues... Collingwood had that absolutely surrounded with goal kickers. They had to spill out, and that was a goal.
So now they should go into just keep possession mode. Yep. 30 seconds to play. Just super defensive with the ball. Don't need to score.
Well, Saad's behind the ball, behind the umpire. That's the logical one you use.
Marchbank's got it. He goes long down the line. De Koning's there. Double grabber, not quite. Here's Crisp, tries to control it, slips over. Charlie Curnow in space, does well, handballs over to Fogarty. He's brought down in a wonderful tackle by Maynard. Play on, says the umpire. So there was an incorrect disposal. They're like pigeons over a hot chip at the moment, or seagulls rather, isn't it? But they can't pick it up. And three-quarter time, it's the Blues by 19 points. Upset brewing, upset alert. 10-6-66, Collingwood 6-11-47. The Blues have dragged the ladder leaders well out of their comfort zone tonight. How will the come-from-behind Kings react in the final term? It's set up beautifully. It was level scores at quarter time. Carlton then led by 17 at half-time, and they take a 19-point lead into three-quarter time. The goal kickers, Jack Martin, brilliant up forward with 3. Charlie Curnow took a while to get into it. He's got 3. Singles for Chincotta, Owies, Motlop and McGovern. And we're for the Pies, 2 to McStay, singles to DeGoey, Cameron, McCreary, Josh Dacos. But let's get down. The 2 subs were made in that third term. Hoskin Elliott came on for Cox. That was tactical. But some big injury news for the Blues. Let's get down to Tim Hodges.
Yeah, Cal, we've just seen Adam Cerra. He's you can see him yourselves walking out, and he's hobbling badly, and he's got an enormous bag of ice strapped to that right hamstring, and just the way he's hobbling, you think he's probably given that a good twang. So that is going to be a watch for Carlton in the run to September. A right hamstring forcing Adam Cerra out of this game. Paddy Dow was subbed in the third term.
We got one off the SMS for you, Hodgie. How could Cox be subbed off? He was in play when you said the sub was on. It couldn't have been right, could it? He would have been on the bench when Hoskin Elliott entered.
No, so he came off, and then I reckon he knew he might have been in the firing line to be given the sub. So he walked along the boundary right around up to... I mean, he went as far as where Collingwood comes out just to have his warm down. And I think he was probably hoping... I mean, he would have known it was either going to be, I think, him or Tom Mitchell to be subbed out. And Tom Mitchell was also on the bench, as Lingy was saying. So by the time he got back, Mitchell was back on the ground and he was given the T-shirt. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're given, and please explain the Magpies, for not... Normally that sub has to be given the sub's T-shirt before the sub coming into the game is allowed onto the ground, which didn't happen for the Magpies then.
Thanks, Hodgie. There's been a wicket in the cricket. Labuschagne's out, caught by Joe Root for 9 at first slip off the bowling of Mark Wood. So nice one-handed catch. So 9 off 82 for Labuschagne. 2 for 100 the score at the moment. Kawaja 38, Smith on 8. You can hear it through the ABC Listen app. And the World Swimming Championships over in Japan, Molly O'Callaghan has claimed gold in the 100 free. So she's now the 100 freestyle and the 200 freestyle champion, winning the double. So well done to Molly O'Callaghan. The thoughts of Mick Malthouse and Cameron Lang in just a moment. But first, this is Grandstand AFL.
For exclusive access to extraordinary people, stream great chats on ABC iView.
I wanted to meet you for so long.
Yeah, me too.
With intimate interviews from Louis Theroux and ABC Of.
Have you said anything that you've regretted?
Emotional insights on Take 5 with Zan Rowe.
How old were you when your father died?
And probing questions in Stuff the British Stole.
How on earth did you find this?
Great chats and fascinating facts whenever you like. Stream it all for free on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Comes the way of Newman. His handball ricochets in the way of Jamie Elliott. Off to Josh Dacos with the snap. Perfection. Off to Hollands, and then hits up the hot player on a lead in Jack Martin. 35 metres out. Has he got the curl? You bet he has. He's got magic in his boots tonight, Jack Martin. Quaynor flicks it in front of Sidebottom, who flicks it onto Josh Dacos. Got time to assess his options. Motlop bearing down. He goes for a 2-on-2. McStay with the launch. Okay, on the set approach, and he converts McStay with his second. A much-needed goal for Collingwood. The Pies kick it out of the defensive 50. It's going to come straight back in because Dow got it. The sub. Oh, Jack Martin flew. Couldn't quite take it at ground level, though. Charlie Kirby picks it up. Curnow with the miraculous goal. He's a goal-kicking machine, this guy. He's got 3. And the Blues extend their lead back out to 22 points.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Amy off the SMS just caught the last 10 minutes on a rural pizza shop TV on the way to the Grampians. Back listening on ABC Radio. Nice to have you with us, Amy. People listening from all corners of the country, from Mark, Southwest, Rocks in New South Wales. Great call team. Love Mick Malthouse's comments. He can't buy experience. Invaluable commentary from Mark. Appreciate that. The SMS 0437 774 774. Flanked beautifully by the three-time Premiership cat, Cameron Ling on Grandstand AFL.
Lingy, I'm just going to make a comment now. That third quarter belonged totally to Collingwood.
Yes.
And when Carlton went for, they were. I'm not going to say they're lucky because you don't get luck against a backline like Collingwood. They've earned their 3 goals, but my real worry is that the Pies, I'll throw you some stats, 104 to 83 possessions for a start off.
Yep.
Chera is a miss. Really, 32 to 27, Carlton's was under in contested possession. They've dominated up until this third quarter. Inside 50s, 17 to 6. So that can't happen again because when you get Dacos, Elliott,
both
Stay,
Crisp up forward,
and DeGoey all having shots on goal or missing. That I'm not trying to take it away from Carlton because they've been fantastic, but they cannot give Collingwood the same third quarter because Collingwood will score 6 or 7 like they did against Port last. If Collingwood kicks 6 or 7, I'll tell you the result will be a Collingwood victory.
I know you're a big fan of the Fast and Furious franchise of movies.
No, I'm not.
And when they're racing their cars and they hit the NOS button, it shows how much clue I have about that sort of thing. That's what Collingwood are about to unleash. The big surge here.
You can see it.
Carlton have somehow got to weather that, get through it, and turn it back upon the Pies if they're going to go on and win this game.
Paddy Dow's got to look. He's coming into the game.
Yep.
He's now got to make a mark.
So well set up. Carlton by 19 points. As we turn for home, we know the numbers. Collingwood have won 12 of their last 16 when trailing at three-quarter time. A lot of possessions in the middle of the ground. Nick Dacos in the end feeds a hand pass to a bit of space. Wiedering centre half forward, hadn't lost it. Lipinski picks it up, kicks to the top of the goal square. Elliott isolated, can't mark. McStay arriving late. Goal-saving effort. Kemp gets back to knock it through for a rush behind. First score for Collingwood, 30 seconds into the final term. 18-point lead for the Blues. Doherty a little slow to get up.
Something's happened, yeah.
Middle of the ground, the trainers are with him. Looks like the air's been knocked out of him as he slowly turns and heads towards the bench.
You know what? This is going to sound really, really harsh, Corbs. I don't know why we are waiting for players to leave the field with a bit of an injury when they're not under threat.
You know what he's got? He's got a knee in the belly. That's
he's got a knee in the belly and he's, 90 metres away from where the ball is right now? Move on. Get the game going. We're starting to do this more and more.
Oh, yeah. It just drives you nuts.
Oh, love Friday Night Experts on ABC. Mick Moldhouse and Cameron Ling. No beating around the bush when they're sitting behind us in this commentary box. Wonderful commentary box up the top of the MCG. Got a game on our hands. The kick in has been the turnover by the Pies. Mycheck goes for goal. Just tried to stab it. Oh, Marchbank wasn't under pressure.
No, he had to play it.
He's thrown over the goal line.
Had to play it.
Callum Marchbank has given away a free because there was no pressure as he gathered the ball on the edge of the goal square and casually walked backwards over the goal line.
No, totally agree with that. Look, you've got to be smart. You've got a teammate between you and the opponent. Just talk to one another. So, you want to explain what's happened, Kel?
Yeah, well, Mycheck's got it. So he's got the free, 45-degree angle, 20 metres out.
It was kicked back to him.
And he sprays it. He sprays it. So I missed that, Mick.
Yeah.
So it's a free kick on the behind line for the rush behind, and then the short kick back to Mycheck. His shot misses anyway, so a let off for the Blues as McGovern drives his kick out long up to the wing. Quaynor chops it off, hand pass to Josh Dacos, to Cameron of the Pies. Gave it to Murphy, his handball a turnover. Cripps onto it, kicks along the boundary line. Oh, big flying mark back into the pack for Jack Crisp. Got it for Collingwood. So the state of play, Carlton by 17 points, 3 minutes into the final term against the final quarter specialists as Crisp sends Collingwood to centre half forward. Wiedering spoils down into the lap of Newman. Hand pass to McGovern, handball to Marchbank. Hurried surge kick out of the defensive arc. Unkind bounce for Hewitt. Crisp onto it again for Collingwood. Tackled by Hewitt. Circles, says ball up.
Corbs, you're with me on the Fast and the Furious, aren't you?
Yep.
You know that movie.
Yeah.
They've hit the button here, Collingwood.
Vin Diesel?
Yep. They are surging. They are flying right now, and Carlton are right on the back foot.
I've got no idea what movie you're talking about, but I can see that, Speedy. Quiet weekend. I can't wait for that.
There's a lot of Carlton players now attacking the one Collingwood player. It's leaving Collingwood wide open. When you get tired, you do take the easier way out mentally, and that's what's happening at the
Carlton
moment.
by 17 points. A ball up here on the wing. De Goey had it. He was crunched. Got rid of it, but still they go. Nick Dacos, his hands were too quick for Quaynor. Goes back in again. He's handballed straight back to Dow from the Blues. Nice little side step from the sub. He kicks to the one-on-one at stake. It's Darcy Moore in a tangle with Charlie Curnow, the two superstars. And Moore wins the free kick. In that one-on-one tussle, he was holding him and he took him to ground, did Charlie. Charlie's got 3, but Moore wins on this occasion. He flares the kick wide, puts his teammate under the pump.
And had a fumble too. Hoskin Elliott tackled out of play by Cottrell. Now a throw-in half forward for the Blues.
Well, superb as Darcy Moore has been tonight. He's not kicked the ball well.
Well, I don't think Collingwood have kicked the ball. They've missed, how many points they've kicked? 13 points.
Now they've got to come from behind again to get it done. 6-day break, coming back from a game in the wet against the other top-of-the-table team in Port Adelaide last weekend. From the stoppage, Cripps floats a kick forward, one bounce out of play.
There's been a lot of lucky, that's a lucky bounce, isn't it? Like, who was down there? Was that Scotty Pendlebury? You just knew that if it bounced this way to him, he would better have used the ball. Carlton have got a loose play behind the ball. 2 players behind the ball, which I find incredible.
5 minutes into the final term, Cameron wins the hit out, but straight to a Carlton player again. Cottrell kicks inside 50 to Coney down there. No mark. Hits the deck, front and centre to Goey. Locked up by Motlop. Said, come here, as he lays a heavy tackle and forces another stoppage inside Carlton's forward 50. 5 minutes elapsed, final term, Blues by 17.
At the back, Cottrell. He snaps it to the top of the goal square. Or Curnow in a tussle with Darcy Moore. He wins the free. He gets him back. Curnow's going to win a free at the top of the goal square, and he will slot it in from here at the punt road end, right in front of the Blues cheer squad. There's 70 to 80,000 in the house. The replay's on the giant screen. Pies fans don't like it.
Oh, that's one-on-one football. You love seeing one-on-one football. In fact, you know...
Curnow for 4, Mick. Hold on, Curnow for 4, because listen to the crowd here to make it a lead of 23 points. The Blue Baggers are cheering loudly. That margin is 23. Curnow has 4. 11-6-72. Collingwood 6-13-49 at the 6-minute mark of this final term. Mick Malthouse in a one-on-one tussle was the free kick there. I don't think it was, because both players had parts of jumper. Charlie certainly had Darcy's jumper, and if you look at a one-on-one there, that should have just been called play on. Because when the ball's high like that, you've got 2 umpires looking at it, you're going to look for a free kick instead of just looking for the contest.
That's 2 big, strong, quality defender and forward going at each other. Exactly. In a great contest.
Yeah. Let it go. Yeah.
He's kicked 4 of the last 8 goals in the game, Charlie Curnow. Carlton by an equal game high 23. 6 minutes into the last. Darcy wins the hit out down to Cripps. He's tackled without it. Free kick, Paddy Cripps.
This is where you like to see him stand up too. He has and he hasn't at times.
Cripps to centre half forward. Maynard puts his fist through it. Lands in the lap though of Hewitt. 60 out centre half forward for the Blues. Puts them back inside 50. De Koning leaps up, no mark. Hits the deck. Motlop had it, lost it. Spills to Cottrell. Cottrell swings it on his left. Cottrell misses. New high water mark. Carlton by 24. 7 gone, final term.
Kicked 4 of the last 5 goals in this contest. Scores were level at quarter time. Carlton by 17 at half time. 19 at 3/4 time. Game high 24. Here go the Pies through Markov. Kicking it round the northern wing. Cameron was there. Pitneck goes to ground. Cripps has got it. Breaks the tackle of Still side bottom. Brute strength. Bombs it high. Cameron was there almost a mark to Martin. Bounces up. Gives it off to his teammate Motlop, who slots it through. Jesse's got 2. Martin with the goal assist. It's the brilliant Blues. And yes, on your Cripper, because the captain set it up from the middle when he broke the Still side bottom tackle. And the temperature is rising. Push and shove, Sard, McStay. They're all involved, and now they finally separate. And it's Carlton by a game high 30 at the 8-minute mark of the final term. 12-7-79, Collingwood 6-13-49.
Jesse Motlop, Mick, he's had the 8 touches, he's kicked the 2 goals, but he has constantly been around the fall of the ball,
and
putting pressure
some of his tackles too.
Yep, laying the tackles, been really busy. That's great reward for a lot of hard work tonight.
And Martin's been a great addition to the side from last week.
What a monster, Paddy Cripps. 5 disposals, 3 contested, 3 clearances. They're going forward out of the middle again. Pitternet down to Dow. Kicks it deep forward. Coney knocks it back into a dangerous spot. Curno's got it. Moore tackles him high.
Wow.
Curnow free, 20 out, straight in front.
So, that's an interesting one.
He got after him. It started okay and then probably slipped right across his face.
And now 50. And so Curnow will be marched to the top of the goal square. And Curnow, what a turnaround. He hadn't kicked one halfway through the second. This for his 5th. It'll bring the house down. Up into the 3rd tier. The Blues fans are going berserk. The rhythm of the Blues at the MCG. They've kicked 10 of the last 12 in the game. Hits the Baggers by 36 points, 10 gone final turn.
Wow, this is incredibly impressive because Collingwood are throwing absolutely everything at the Blues. They're trying to make their comeback. They believe in themselves. They can. And Carlton have gone right back at them. They have just been so good to start this last quarter, Mick. And I want to see them keep doing it. Don't go into safe mode now. I know the margin's 36 points. You think it might be safe enough, but just keep going on them because they're hunting around the footy. Paddy Dow's getting his hands on it.
Yes, he is.
Cripps has been huge. They're getting it forward and they're just starting to get all that reward.
Contested ball, 15 to 8.
6-goal lead, 14 minutes to play. It's starting to slip away for the Pies. Bigoy.
Free kick for Mitchell.
Lost it. High blows his whistle, comes back to Mitchell. He's got it on the back of that centre circle and he's going to move it, Mick, quickly. We'll come back to you in a moment. It just lands inside for Elliott! Jamie Elliott! He launched into the night sky under the lights here at the MCG. A spectacular hover. His right knee into the back of Wiedering. In fact, his right knee up over the shoulder, the left shoulder of Jacob Wiedering. The extra lift. And here he is directly in front. The ruthless hitman. Has he got the distance? He does, but it's offline. And Elliott looks to the heavens and sucks in the oxygen. He can't believe it's another miss. But what about a contender for Mark of the Year? Superb.
Brilliant grab. What a grab, what a launch. But maybe it's going to be one of those nights. Jamie Elliott's missed 2 set shots. I didn't think he could ever miss set shots.
20 scoring shots each, and yet Carlton by 35 points. As Wiedering marks back pocket, goes long down the wing for Carlton. Ball lands in the lap of Cunningham. Hand pass to Doherty, he fumbles. Still tracking the footy. Carlton win it through McGovern. Everything bouncing their way. Hand pass to Dow. Longer one-on-one. It's Curnow and Murphy. Ball bounces into the lap of Curnow. Tackled by Murphy straight away. Umpire says ball up.
Yeah, good tackle. What a good bit of play for Murphy to get to him, because Curnow's got great pace and form right up.
It's happening for Carlton. From the ball up, DeConey wins it down. There's Nick Dacos against the team he grew up supporting. Kicks the ball down the wing for Collingwood. To Elliott. Hand pass away to side bottom. Short kick to Myercheck. He marks on the 50. A short kick inside the attacking arc. Got to Adams on the half volley as he slips over. Taps it out to Elliott. Paddles it out in front. He's tackled. Now spills to Wiedering. He's taken high. Free kick for Carlton. They'll get it in the defensive 50. Lipinski a little loose with the front-on tackle. And Carlton to get it in their back 50. They lead by 35.
They're holding up strong, scrambling there. They're on the back foot. They've just gone into a little bit of possession here.
That's okay, just settle down, because Collingwood have got the momentum.
Yeah. Despite the goals that have been piled on, Collingwood are just really aggressive in everything they do.
So now the exiting kick out of the defensive 50 from Cottrell at the back. Noble almost Had his head taken off as he ducked under a Jesse Motlop tackle, wins the free kick. Oh, the centering kick is risky. Over to Maynard, and now the Blues pounce through Hollands. Charlie Curnow, awkward little half volley, couldn't control it. Coming in was Hoskin Elliott. Handballs to Markov into space. Side bottom comes one way. Saad the other. Saad dances around a couple. Still side bottom with the smother was absolutely superb. To Markov. To the smooth mover in Pendlebury from 50 out. Where's Elliott? Instead it's McCreary. Couldn't quite get it. Here comes Jamie. He's zigzagging one way then the other. Turns around. Little grubber kick to Josh Dacos. To Howe. He couldn't get there. He does in the end. A double grabber from Jeremy Howe. He took it all with the one mitt in his right hand. It looked like the ball had gone past him. Sensational control. It was messy. It wasn't neat, but it was effective. And Jeremy Howe, with a one-hander, has got it at the top of the goal square to start the climb back up the mountain. Trailing by 6 goals with 11 minutes to play. Howe splits the middle. The defender moved up forward to ignite something for the Pies, and that's what he's done. And the margin is 29 points. Collingwood 17-14, 56, trailing the Blues 13-7, 85.
Rewind back to the middle of the ground. Braden Maynard's attack on the footy around Charlie Curnow. Curnow fumbled for a fraction of a second. Maynard just came in, bodylined the ball, gets a turnover. And eventually Collingwood were able to get it into the hands of a forward, Jeremy Howe, who slots it. 29 points the difference. This is where, what have we got, 11 minutes to go?
Yeah, plenty of time. Look,
I still
really
want
time
to keep playing with the pace and the same energy that they've had to start this quarter for at least another 5 or 6 minutes in this one.
Winwood put Carlton 5th tonight, of course, with the rest of the competition still to play. Over the weekend, back in the middle, DeConing palms it down, Blues by 29. Hewitt first one there for Carlton, trickles a kick out, but Nick Dacos intercepts, sockers it forward, Howe! Sliding forward, takes the sprawling mark, and Nick Dacos just banging it off the deck, kicked the half volley, and Jeremy Howe good enough to get to the drop.
And that's what they do, the Pies. They will push the ball forward in any manner, and forwards playing front. This is the outcome. Back in the game.
With his bionic arm in the shooter's sleeve, Jeremy Howe. Thrown forward tonight. He's got 2 in a minute. He gives the Pies life. Back to a 23-point lead for the Blues. 16 gone, final term. We're only halfway through the quarter. Carlton 13-7-85, Collingwood 8-14-62. Mick Malthouse, Cameron Wing.
I know there's rotations, Mick. I get it. I'm not that old school that don't have rotations. But just right now feels crucial.
Yeah.
Paddy Cripps is sitting on the bench.
No.
I want him in at this centre bounce. Just give me 4 more minutes, Paddy, and then I'll get you another rest. But I don't want him sitting on the pine when this centre bounce clearance is so crucial.
Well, you've always got to. You've got to put your best players where the ball is. You have to look at the coaches' votes. Nearly everyone's a midfielder. Nearly everyone right down to number 10. So you put your best players where the action is when it's needed, when the heat's on.
7 times they've trailed, but at three-quarter time, the Pies this year, 5 times they've won. They couldn't do it again, surely. Out of the centre, it's Collingwood. Although Chris patted, he was tackled. It spills clear. Doherty, the hurried kick straight to Curnow over his head. Murphy under the pump in the defensive goal square, does well. Has a high kick. Chris puts his body on the line. Coming in the other direction was Doherty. And it spills off both their bodies. Out of bounds it goes. It'll be a boundary throw in. 60 around from the Blues goal. Murphy standing alongside Charlie Curnow, who's got 5 goals to his name, and they're standing in the goal square at the punt road end.
Carlton by 23, 17 and a half gone, final term. Boundary throw in, Doherty can't take it clean. Spills to go. He's tackled, taken to ground. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Patrick Cripps is desperate to get on. He was barking. He was trying to get Paddy Dow's attention. Dow started to run towards the bench, then went to the contest and got a mouthful from Cripps, who just wants someone to come to the bench to let him back on.
It stays Shepard's for Ruckman. Free kick to Koning, 60 out and a half forward for the Blues.
One thing I noticed about the Koning, he's a double grabber. Tonight's where he's had 3 or 4 times when he could have cleared the ball, and he's He's just bobbled it and they've just taken the ball away from him.
Carlton by 23. Upset alert all throughout the night. They played from in front. The kick to the top of the goal square. There's a free for Curnow.
Yeah, they grabbed it, Curnow.
Oh, they did. Well out. Too far out. We've got 2 umpires down there. You can't do it.
Oh, boy. Charlie Curnow didn't have one halfway through the second quarter. He's kicked 5.
Gee, there's not heaps in it, though. Wow.
It's 15 out, virtually straight in front. He's got half a dozen. A settler for the Blues to again answer any kind of Collingwood challenge. It's Carlton by 29. 19 gone in the final term. The Baggers 14-7-91. Collingwood 8-14-62. Cameron Ling, Mick Moldhouse.
Well, what do you reckon, Mick?
I want to see the game, but when I first watched it, he was definitely restricted to get to that contest. By Darcy Moore. So I'd like to see it again to see how much it is like that. But nonetheless, if you hold the player back, he's grabbed his arm. You just can't grab the player's arms.
Oh, yeah, but it's a tangle of arms.
I know. But
9 minutes to play. Carlton by 29 points. Cripps is back on the ground and he's in the middle. Pitnet gets it down. De Goey jumps on it and then he falls over. It's stolen by Doherty, which was brilliant. And now Hewitt weaving his way to the southern wing and kicking over the top. Spoil came from Markov. Pies play, including Maynard, goes in hard. The umpire says it'll be a ball up as soon as listen to those Blues fans in the background. They're enjoying every moment. Michael Voss is on the bench. He's standing up. He's barking instructions. He's on the verge of his biggest win as Blues coach. Boundary throw and it's Nick Dacos that streams along the boundary line. He's kicked it and it's bounced just inside the boundary before trickling over. All those Blues fans wanted deliberate. It was never coming. So a boundary throw in right under the Shane Warne stand side. Carlton by 29 points. They led as much as 36 earlier in this term.
It'll just be the third defeat for Collingwood all season from the boundary throw in. Hollands, hurried kick forward. Jack Martin for the Blues. Hand pass to Owies. Feeds it to Curnow, who's got 6. Ugly kick inside the forward 50. Quaynall's out to meet it. Off and running. Sweeping Polyfarmer. Hand pass away to Mitchell. Links up with Crisp. They won't roll over the Pies. Hand pass to Nick Dacos. Handball straight into Doherty. Swats it down. Forces the turnover. Newman for the Blues. Hand pass away to Cottrell. Kicks out to half forward. Owies and Noble. Always trying to turn him inside out. Can't trap it. Noble wants the boundary line. Finds it. Boundary throwing.
Yeah, well, that's Carlton's. We were saying about the contested football thing. It's 28-19, so they've matched the Pies this quarter with that contested football.
Only losses this year, Brisbane in Brisbane, Melbourne on King's birthday. That was some 5-6 weeks ago. Cripps at the stoppage, playing like the monster he is. Kicks to the top of the goal square. Moore's out to meet it for Collingwood. Hand pass wide. Motlop hangs it inside the boundary line, coughs it up. Gave it to De Goey. Hand pass to Markov off the back flank for the Pies.
He's coughed it up though to Akers under the pump. He missed the handball which was intended for Newman. Pendlebury soccers it right near that centre circle. Well done by Wiedering. Gathers it under the pump. Handballs backwards all the way to Kemp at centre half back, and then he flares the kick wide, but it went to Crisp at the Pies. They can quickly torch them on the turnover here. Jamie Elliott marks right on 50. Took a spectacular mark earlier in this term, and his kick finds Howe right in that left forward pocket. Jeremy Howe's going to curl it around. Time's against them. Has he booted 3 in the third to keep them in this? He has. Jeremy Howe up forward, kicking goals and giving them a sniff in this contest.
In all honesty, they don't need him back there with Murphy.
No.
So, and I know that Mason Cox will probably be turning his head around like the Exorcist, but so I suspect that he might be on the forward line next week because he can take a mark, he finds space.
So the man with the mangled left arm gets them back to within 23 points. 7 minutes to play. Collingwood 9-14-68. Carlton 14-7-91. The comeback kids can smell something in the air.
Restart back in the middle. Bounce favours Pitternet as Cameron comes with him. Pitternet hits it down straight to Adams of the Magpies. Hands it to Goey to centre half forward. McStay left it behind. Wiedering had a play on it, lost it. Newman grabs it. Sidebottom's got him. Ball up centre half forward for Collingwood. 23 down, just under 7 minutes on the game clock. Pitternet swats it away. Nick Dacos picks it up. Cripps hammers into him and do it all again.
Collingwood had two players spitting forward, then free. If they hadn't have stopped that ball, then Carlton.
Pies happy to roll the dice. Ruck infringement again. Free kick, Darcy Cameron.
Shouldn't play that free kicks, honestly.
Hand pass away to Pendlebury. Pendlebury goes short to Markov, who's got it right on the forward 50. It's a congested forward arc. Markov's trying to drive it all the way home from 55 out. He's got a fair piece of it. It'll land short. Howe flies on the behind line. No mark. Pack forms underneath him. And a ball up right on the behind line for Collingwood. City end of the ground. 23-point lead for the Blues.
Can't hit this through on the full pit net.
Cameron. Behind him was Howe, who's got the hot boot in his final term, and he was tackled by Kemp. Right on the edge of the goal square. Everyone on the edge of their seats. Huge crowd in at the MCG. Neither of the ruckmen win it in the air at ground level. Little toe poke. Kemp's there. Oh, it was a handball from McGovern going all the way back to Cottrell, who fumbled it over the boundary line.
Yeah, well, that's one you're allowed to do.
Yes, under the pressure. Relief for the Blues defenders. Carlton by 22. Just under 6 minutes to play. The official crowd posted at 86,785. An enthralling tactical battle. We've seen massive marks. We've seen big goals. Curno's come to the party with 6. Howe with 3 for the Pies in this final term. Carlton, can they hang on? They lead it by 22.
And thinking of the Blues, they're just not controlling the ball. Collingwood have just taken right over this last 5 or 6 minutes. This is where good sides will keep coming at you, and a good side has got to be able to put the wall up.
Third highest attendance of the season. Collingwood win it back on the wing, kicks it inside forward 50, and Marchbank takes the intercept mark. So Carlton get it in a slow play in their back pocket.
Got to realise, Carlton, every moment matters from here.
And the smother from the man on the mark, Jeremy Howe. Gets across. What a quarter up front. 3 goals and now the 1%er. Boundary throw in forward 50.
So that's what I'm talking about. So Marchbank just casually takes 3 or 4 steps back after he takes the mark. You've got to do the basic things well in the most high-pressure moments.
Exactly.
Give yourself room to execute that long kick. That's sloppy.
Boundary throw in, comes down off hands to Dow, kicks it forward, bounces off the chest to Lipinski, runs out after it, hand pass into the path of Hewitt. He's off and running for Carlton. Short kick finds Charlie Curnow, marks on the wing. Blues by 22, 26 goal final term.
He kicks it short to Martin, who's had a night out as well.
Well set up, really well set up, well thought through. Jack Martin just called for the little outlet from Curnow, gave him time to get long down the line. That's mature play from Jack Martin.
Attacking side of the northern wing. He goes into the pocket. Darcy Moore got in front position. De Koning with the spoil up over the top. Boundary throw in, 25 around from the Blues goal.
So terrific work. So Jack Martin allowed all his team to set the ground the way they wanted it. Long kick to a good defensive position, out of bounds. They can control how the players are set up now, the Blues. Terrific play.
4 and a bit minutes remaining. Ball thrown in to Koning. Down to Akers. Akers with the curling ball. Throws it on the boot. And it's through for a minor score. The Pies will want to move it quickly here. 4 and a bit to go. Carlton by 23 points.
Got to throw all caution to the wind as Maynard kicks inside the centre square. Adams the target. Marchbank.
This time give yourself more room.
He's not going to.
Takes the intercept mark. He's only got a half a metre in front of the man on the mark. Fortunately, he's going laterally. Finds Newman on the wing. Plenty of hang time in that kick. Looking for Martin. Quaynor covers it off. Whacks it out of bounds.
Yeah, no, I'm not liking the way Carlton are playing this last 5 or 6 minutes. Marchbank for a start-off. Yeah, nice mark. As you say, Lingy, if you go back 15 metres, you've got a chance when they call play on, you can still decide what you want to do with it. And the man on the mark then doesn't know what to do with it.
There are Collingwood fans heading towards the Isles at the moment. As the crowd starts to thin out a little, a 23-point lead for the Blues. Collingwood from a stoppage to Goey to Noble. Hand pass away to Mark off. He's off and running. Puts on the Jets. 2 bounces. Hand pass out wide to Josh Dacos. Kicks for side bottom. Can he get it to him? He leaps up. No mark. Newman does well to bring it down. And a ball up centre half forward for Collingwood. Coming home to the city end of the ground. It's the Blues by 23. 29 gone in the last.
Flicked up, Pitnet gets it, comes the way of Dow, breaks away from the congestion, slips over as he kicks it, bouncing ball. Martin can't control it, but he backs up with a tackle, makes life difficult for Chris. Handballs to Noble, throws it on the boot. They need a mark, Collingwood. Kemp fumbles it to the turf. Here's Nick Dacos. Has he got a little bit of Dacos magic left in him? Bouncing ball touch. Right on the line by Wiedering, who's played with an enormously big heart tonight. Wiedering touched by a fingernail right on the line as the ball crossed the goals. It would have been a brilliant snap and it would have taken them to within 16 points. Instead, it's the Blues hanging on by 22. 3 minutes in this ball game.
Gee, Jacob Wiedering is cutting foul at his rest of his teammates, saying we're not set up right. We need to be out here on the northern side of the ground. Very demonstrative to his own Carlton defenders. The kick goes down the line and it works out for Carlton in the end, but not sort of good fortune rather than good management as Maynard sockers it inboard and Cunningham takes the intercept mark. Goes wide to Sard and he marks on the wing. Carlton fans cheering every possession at the moment. There's the Wolf. Well, left footer at Adam Sard. Down the line. Moore gets himself in front. The Collingwood captain fumbles it. Hand pass back inboard to Maynard. He tries to take on Cripps. He lost the footy. Ball comes out. Sard kicks a spiral down to centre half forward. Always in a wrestle. Ball comes out. Knocked away cleverly by Jack Crisp. Finds Noble. He's got it for Collingwood at half back. Hits up Lipinski on the wing. 2 and a bit minutes to go. Carlton by 22.
Lots of tired players out there. Lipinski just handballs over to Crisp, who kicks across the midfield. In there was Adams, couldn't quite find still side bottom. Adams goes again. He's got a chance here. Fake one way, off to Nick Dacos. In space, lovely little sidestep. Wants to turn around onto his right. He goes for home and he's put it out of bounds on the full. And listen to the Blues fans give it to the Brownlow medal favourite.
And he had 2 teammates on.
He absolutely burnt both. I think that's not Nick Dacos. He burnt
McCreary and McStay, maybe?
Or how?
That's the whole night in a nutshell for Collingwood.
It is. It is.
Bad decisions. The skill executions let them down enormously. 9-16 to 14-8. And what a night for Carlton. This will be 6 in a row. A long kick down the line. Knocked forward by Josh Dacos to Lipinski. Sends Collingwood back inside the forward arc. Spills down to Hewitt. Spun around. Hand pass to Cunningham. Handball away to Dow. From centre half back. Kicks down the wing. Charlie Curnow floats in front. No mark. Falls to Owens and the Blues. Hand pass to Akers. He just kicks into plenty of space. It pitches, bounces out of bounds.
That's right. Happy to cop the free kick for delivered out of bounds. That's fine.
And it'll be a free to Collingwood, and Jack Crisp will take it at half back for the Pies. Carlton by 22, 32 gone in the last.
Time is not the Pies' friend as the kick goes down the line. McStay marks it right in front of the Blues bench. Gets around Sard, the man on the mark, and then punches it up the line where McCreary takes the mark. Missed a couple early in this game, McCreary. Goes to the top of the goal square. Who's there? Oh, leaving it was Nick Dacos in the end. Little bit of miscommunication. Side bottom just plucks it. Curls it round. Adams is going to mark right on the goal line. He wanted to play on. Got to get a quick kick in here. Taylor Adams. 5 metres out. On his right. He slots it through. The cheer squad right behind those goals is up on its feet, but they're about the only ones that believe. Because it's Carlton by 16 points as the seconds tick down. And the Pies are looking down, staring down the barrel at their 3rd loss of the season. They lost to the Lions in round 4 by 33 points. They lost to Melbourne on King's birthday by 4 points. And the Blues are on the verge of producing maybe what might just be the upset of the year.
I don't agree with you, Kel. It's a great victory. I'm not convinced that Carlton are that far behind Collingwood. So It's a great. I think this will be a good kick in the guts to Collingwood. They'll fight back from this. But Carlton needed to produce it because they've got the goods to do it.
They'll be 5th on the premiership table tonight, the Blues, on a 6-game winning streak. As DeConing in the middle wins the hit out down to Josh Dacos. Hand pass to brother Nick. Feeds it forward, but Dow picks it off for Carlton. He just kicks out into open space. Running back with it is Pendlebury. Collides with his own teammate. They hit one another, Pendlebury and Moore. Pitternet grabs the footy, hands it to Jack Martin. He's offline, misses. Carlton execute the blueprint. How to beat Collingwood. For just the 3rd time in 2023, the Magpies drop a game. It's Carlton by 17. The lid is off. A 17-point win for Carlton. Have a listen to that. They're 5th on the premiership table as it stands. Charlie Curnow kicking 6. He didn't have one until halfway through the second term, and then he kicked 5 goals in a surge in which Carlton kicked 10 out of 12 goals in the game. They led by 36 points in the last term. Collingwood got it back to 16, but that's as close as they got. It's Carlton's night. A huge win in front of over 86,785 at the G. The season was on the rocks after the King's birthday holiday. They'd won just 4.5 games. They were on a 6-game losing skid, had lost 8 of their last 9, and from that point on, Carlton have not looked back. They've won 6 in a row. They sit 5th on the premiership table, and even losing Chera early in the second half. There's no Mackay, there's no Sam Walsh, missing a host of others with Kennedy and Silvani, Williams all absent. Carlton have got it done by committee. Curnow with 6, 3 for Martin, 2 for Motlop, and then singles for McGovern and for Owies. While for Collingwood, 3 goals to Howe, 2 to McStay, 1 each for De Goey, Josh Dacos, Adams, Cameron and McCreary. It's a signature win for Michael Voss and the Blues. A 17-point win, full time at the MCG over the table-topping Magpies.
Yeah, really impressive. What a win by the Blues. Fantastic performance, but Collingwood were a little off. But I don't want to stick to that because I thought Carlton was super impressive with the way they played. Huge last quarter, Mick, for Paddy Dow. 9 touches, 4 clearances.
Pleased for him.
Yeah, with Chera coming off, he stepped up in that midfield, that clearance role that Chera had done so well for that first half.
Yeah, it's fantastic by Dow.
Terrific win. I didn't think they had that level in the mix, so I am really impressed.
I've seen them a bit and followed them, watched them a fair bit on, if I'm not at the game, just to watch Curnow, Paddy Cripps, Sam Dockley, players I've been, reasonably close with. And, they say, you won by 50 points or 60 points, 100 points, whatever. But you can only do what you can do against an opponent. The things that I've liked over the journey, over that last 6 or 7 weeks, has been the fact that they've moved the ball really well. They've been a high contested side, which I think suits them because of the fact that they're not lightning through the middle, so you've got to win a lot of that hard ball. But also the avenue to go. They've only had 5 goal kickers tonight, which is quite extraordinary. Collingwood have had 7. But, when you get a bloke like Curnow and, say, Martin, who can double up and triple up.
I'll come back to you, Mick, for more of that. The Peter Mac Cup, the longest running charity match in VFL-AFL history for over 30 years. Let's take you down to the presentation.
Foundation and their work in supporting all those affected by cancer. Alongside the Peter Mac Cup, tonight we'll also be awarding the Richard Pratt Medal. The Richard Pratt Medal is awarded to the player voted best on ground and presented in honour of the late Richard Pratt, a former player, committeeman, major donor and president of the Carlton Football Club, who sadly passed away from prostate cancer in 2009. Presenting the medal on behalf of the Pratt family is Tony Martina, Director of Primary Packaging at Visi. I would now like to welcome Tony to announce the winner of the Richard Pratt Medal.
Pleased to announce the winner of the Richard Pratt Medal, Charlie Curnow.
Kick 6, Charlie. They effectively came in 2 quarters from the 15-minute mark of the second term until the 19-minute mark of the last. So in 2 quarters of footy, he's kicked 6 goals.
I want to thank the Collingwood Football Club, first of all. You guys had an amazing year and you continue to prove to the comp. So you provided we need to show up and play our best tonight. And, I'm so proud of the boys. There's a couple of guys here. I want to shout out to Caleb Marchbank. Great to see him back on the footy field playing good footy. And we got Big George Hewitt, 150 games. So proud of you, mate. Well done. And then obviously to the Blues fans, you guys are unreal tonight. Thank you so much for the support this year.
Takes him to 67 for the season with 4 games still to play.
Now to present the Peter Mac Cup tonight, Peter Mac, Chief Financial Officer, Libby Seacombe. I'd now like to call forward Patrick Cripps to accept the Peter Mac Cup from Libby on behalf of tonight's winners, Carlton.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. Obviously, massive game. Collingwood, you guys are the benchmark. There's so much respect for the way you play, and all the best the rest of the year. To the fans that both came out, both sides, it's one of the best games we love playing it against the Pies. So thanks for coming out. Can't thank enough what our boys are doing and our coaches are doing. But most importantly, this round means a lot to us in this game. Special mate of ours went through a tough time, and to see what Peter Mac does for people struggling is huge. And to everyone out there who's got their own battle right now, just make sure your family get around them, keep fighting. Good on you.
Paddy Cripps in victory. What a night for the Blue Baggers. So they get home by 17 points. They led by as many as 6 goals at one stage in the final term before Collingwood came with a late flurry. They kicked 4 of the last 5, but in the end they just put a pretty face on it. It was Carlton's night here at the MCG. It's their 5th on the ladder as it stands. They've got 4 games to go, the Blues, in the season. They play St Kilda next Sunday. Then Melbourne at the MCG. The Gold Coast Suns away from home at Carrara. And it feels like that last game of the season, there's going to be a fair bit on it. GWS at Docklands to finish. So there's a few sort of 50-50 games. Suns on the road, Melbourne here.
Couldn't come down to the last game again. Well,
That's what I thought that earlier in the week, actually.
Yeah, what they can't do, though, is keep players who fall over, because it mounts up. If you've got Walsh already out, Cheer out now. There's another one.
Mackay's out, Silvani's out. They've had this women and almost them.
Oh, yes. And when you look at, say, your good years, Lingy, say Collingwood, they've hardly had an injury. Yeah. So Carlton, they've got to weather the next 4 weeks and see if they get these blokes back in reasonable fitness going into a final series or into the last week or two, so they can get them a match fit again. Because this game here, outside of the confidence that Carlton will get, it's to be able to live up to what Collingwood, the expectations of Collingwood is that they'll keep coming at you. And make no mistake about the Pies did. Yeah. So to actually weather that, they'll need to go. They'll have a good sleep tonight, and probably for the next 3 or 4 days, because they've had to have these things go from. They've had to have the contested ball, work hard. They've had to rely on Collingwood missing a few that they normally would have got. And they're going to have to close up a few of the areas that probably let them down Carlton today. There's a few areas there that you think, if they would have been punished had Collingwood been more accurate. I won't say on song because they really had a crack. But they got over the line, and that's the asset to it.
Lingy, you said as soon as we introduced you tonight about 4 hours ago that you watched Geelong-Brisbane.
Yes.
And then you watched Port Adelaide and Collingwood, and that the Port Adelaide-Collingwood were two clear teams best by far away from the rest, in a sense. After what you've just seen here at the MCG for the last 3 hours, do you change your mind at all? Or do we believe that Collingwood's human and they're beatable? And is there another contender in this premiership race?
No, I don't change my mind. They're still clearly the best team in the competition. What I saw was a Collingwood team off their best, not as sharp in front of goal, not as sharp with their kicking. A down game for them, I would say. But I also want to say that I saw a Carlton team force them to play like that a little bit, and I'm super impressed with Carlton. Come the end of the year, when the whips are absolutely cracking, no, I don't think Carlton can do that. But I see a Carlton team that if they play like that and the way they've shown over the last 6 weeks or so, is a team that can make finals, that can win finals, but ultimately might be a little bit short of the very, very best in the final week or two.
What if they get those blokes back, though? Look, Walsh is a ball carrier and a ball accumulator. And Paddy Dow, I've always had a real... I've liked Paddy Dow. He sees the fall out because the others are in, but he's the perfect bloke to have...
Come in, if you
I wouldn't even like him I'd like him to actually be one of the ones that... Because I think they rely so heavily on Paddy Cripps and also Walsh. Now, Hewitt's back, and I think Hewitt with form's good for them because he had a great breakout year until he hurt his back when he came to the club. What was that, last year? Yeah, it was last year. So there's three. If you get a Paddy down there as well, it can have little cameos, but he's got to be able to play other roles as well.
Chera playing great footy.
He's playing fantastic footy, but I reckon Paddy Cripps can go forward and become a marking option while Mackay is out, just to take the heat off because Silvani's not there. Because Paddy can then go into half-forward line, play there as a stoppage player. I'll tell you what, you take a half-back flanker to these stoppages, he'll murder them.
Can I ask a silly question? I might embarrass myself here. Are the Blues a better team without Harry Mackay in there?
Only when he hasn't got confidence.
Right. It just seems like...
If he's confident...
Like Charlie's just risen to the occasion. He wants to be the man. Yep. He's got that whole 50 to roam and dominate and dictate.
But you know what, though, Kel? Some other sides can't put them together. I rarely see Mackay and Curnow at each other. I think they've got a wonderful idea of where each other are on the ground and don't interfere with that sort of... It's better to get 10 goals, or say 8 goals from those two than just 5 from one or 6 from one and say, oh, the other one's not playing. Double up your I think him in form, and just be playing on him.
He hits up to the wing too.
He does.
Bailout kick. No, I think they work well enough in isolation. Definitely.
So it was a silly question.
No, it's not. There's a lot of forwards that can't work together. Yeah. Like Hawkins and Cameron, they work together because they don't get in each other's way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, he's got $1 million a year contract, 7-year deal, which hasn't started yet. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the off-season on that front. I'm sure there'll be other clubs coming to at least ask the question. Carlton by 17 points. And a hell of a show. A huge upset on Friday night footy. Carlton into 5th spot on the premiership table. I want to get straight into the winners' rooms. Tim Hodges is down there. Call him in, Hodgie.
This is going to be a lot of fun if you're a Carlton supporter listening. To paint the picture, the joint is packed. It feels like September in here with the amount of people. That's fans, it's friends, it's family. And Patrick Cripps is about to lead the Blues in. George Hewitt is by his side. I can see him now. Cripps walks in. Hewitt, Akers. This win means just a little bit more, I reckon. The 10th time they get to sing the song this year will be something. The Blues will make a presentation straight after to George Hewitt, the 150 gamer. Adam Sard, the last of the Blues, and they are going to have a lot of fun belting this one out, guys. Sard, the last one in the group, and here we go. What a happy team they are. Harry Mackay and Sam Walsh both standing beside each other about 3 metres away from the song. Now I believe they're going to make a presentation to George Hewitt. Don't know, do you want to hang around for that, Corbin? Or
we might tap out. We'll come back to you when you get some reaction.
I'll come back when I've got someone for you.
Sounds good. No disrespect to George Hewitt. On his 150th game, of course, 30 of them with the Blues in the first 121 in which he played 120 with Sydney, and now his 30th game with the Blues. So that carves up nicely as his 150th tonight. Pretty happy bunch, the Blues. They've defeated Collingwood at a packed out MCG in front of 86,785. So it's only 2 games with a bigger attendance this year. Round 1. Of course, the Carlton-Richmond game to open the season on the first Thursday night. And other than that, it was the Anzac Day fixture between Essendon and Collingwood. Hell of a roll-up last weekend in July. It was a spectacular day as well with 18 degrees in Melbourne today. We don't get that too often in July, do we? We usually have to wait 3 or 4 days to get 18 degrees collectively at this time of the year. But
that's right.
It was very nice today. And the crowd responded. We got a good game of footy. And plenty of talking points to come out of it. Some reaction from the Carlton rooms shortly.
Great crowd, as you said. Great vibe to this whole night, and a terrific game of footy. You got the best team in the comp, and a team that is on a real run now, and they believe, and they played terrific footy. They 8 minutes into the first quarter, Mick?
Yep,
were off.
Yeah,
Collingwood were all over them. And from that moment onwards, they shifted it round. And Collingwood threw at multiple times throughout the game. Threw everything at them. They were just coming. They were surging. They had that speed, that attack, that aggressiveness, and Carlton stood up to it. And even, I think the third quarter, you spoke about it, where it felt like it was all Collingwood. They had the ball living in their 50. They were all over Carlton. Carlton still outscored them.
Yep.
Outscored them by 2 points. They weathered it. They found a way to kick a goal, kick 3 goals in that quarter. And they get to 3/4 time thinking, yeah, well, actually, we're pretty well set up here.
Yeah. It's interesting. Only the last 2 weeks, two great games, and I'm sure this has probably happened through the year. The Pies' biggest quarter's been the last quarter. Again, like last week, it was 6 goals. 6 goals, they kicked 7 up to 3/4 time. What it does show you, they wear sides down. There's no fluke to it. The pressure just ends up not being able to be sustained. And I thought the third quarter was the first indicator that Carlton were going to wilt, but managed to hit the scoreboard and then had belief in the last quarter. But possession weight, right, Collingwood actually had more possessions, less clearances, more inside 50s.
You spoke a lot about the contested possessions. Yeah, plus 29 for the game.
That's big.
That's a big smashing. So they...
when you've got Adams, DeGoey, Pendlebury,
Mitchell
to beat them at that. I know you could say, that's stoppages. No, this is around the ground when the ball has to be won at the ground level or in a contest. I thought the Blues were very, very good.
And one of those stats that we spoke about, I think quarter time, was those ground ball gets, and that is the one that just get a quick kick away to another bit of congestion, or the ball gets tapped out into a little bit of space. It's 5, 6, 8 metres away from the initial contest. Who cleans up that next ball? And that's often an indicator of that work rate to get to the outside, the ability to outnumber and win that one. And that is Collingwood's game. It is built so much on that. They outnumber again. They swarm all over you, they win it, and then they go bang through you. Carlton smashed them at that.
Yeah.
They got across plus 37 in that area. So Carlton were willing, get across and outnumber at the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And they were cleaning Collingwood up, and that's a really good sign. And what it led to then, I think, Mick, was some good, deep entries to Charlie Curnow.
Yeah.
And it just brought out a couple of panic free kicks against Darcy Moore, a couple of iffy free kicks, I'm
admittedly,
going to say as well. But through his strength in the contest, but also the ball coming in quick because they'd clean up those ground balls, the Collingwood defenders were under pressure.
Well, I'll tell you what Collingwood did and does as well as anyone, if not the best, is when they get on a run through the corridor and share the football.
It's electric, isn't it?
It's not only leg speed, it's ball speed, because it's precise. And that's where I reckon Carlton grew today. There were several times when Collingwood just broke from the half-back line, got through the centre, but were repelled right at the very death from just one-on-one contest, which I thought that's the mark of a side going, because going into finals, you have to be able to win your one-on-one contests more regularly than your opponent, and that's what won them the game today.
And there were a couple of moments too, on your point, where Collingwood were almost through, weren't they? And it was just a hand on it, or just a good tackle. And once, this is one thing where you've got to be very, very good to do this. Collingwood can be slightly vulnerable. If you can flip it over, flip it the other way, and you have an opportunity to go back through them because of that wave that is running forward. Really hard to do, and certainly really hard to do often and sustain throughout a whole game. But if you can do it, you get good looks the other way.
And if you've got a good forward that can go one-on-one and beat one of the best forwards, again, regardless of what the umpires thought of those decisions, Curnow jumps up because he's one out in the goal square with Murphy or with Moore, and is able to hold his ground or win the free kick, or at the very worst go 50-50 and all of a sudden you're back down again. There's a contest near your goal square. So
very impressive. Very impressive.
I think the Pies were still impressive though. Look, Jamie Ellis kicked 3 points, and yet he's been responsible for 3 goals that I can think of after the siren or at the siren, winning goals in the last 18 months.
They're allowed to have a downer before the finals, aren't they?
I don't think this will do him any harm. I think, you know what it may well do? It may well say, can McStay ruck? Right, that's the one. And where I'm leading to there is, it'll give, you can't have Cox on the ground or in the side if Howe is going to be used as a pinch hitter forward. Like that little cameos. I don't say he's going to kick 3 goals every time he goes forward, but you're not going to get Mason Cox doing that. And I think Cox is in the side because he can ruck, not well, but he rucks. Now, if you put Howe down there, he's a different propositional. He's another jumping jack like Elliott. So you're not only contending with Elliott, because quite often you put a taller player on Elliott. You can imagine put a taller player on Elliott, then you've got to put another one on Howe. It'll change.
3 goals he kicked in that last quarter, Jeremy Howe, after moving forward. It was first time he kicked 3 goals in a game
since he played for Melbourne, probably.
I've got it somewhere.
Craig McRae has said that, hasn't he? That he's not quite sure at this stage what his best 22 is, and feels like they've got a couple of guys on the fringe. So Ash Johnson obviously missed out tonight. Frampton's another one. Bobby Hill was ill, so he didn't play.
He'll probably come in, you'd expect, wouldn't you?
You're right, Mick. It was the last time he kicked 3 was round 10, 2015 against Collingwood.
So
there you go.
Jack Ginnivan's the other one, of course, who might come in for the Pies. So and that's a sign of a good team too. You want uncertainty, you want pressure, you want that. That's just part of being a really good football team. Carlton are in a little bit a different position. They're playing outstanding football. Unfortunately, they're losing 1 or 2 players, which makes it hard. The
Blues win by 17 points. They've won 6 in a row. They're 5th on the table, down to Tim Hodges in the winners' rooms.
Hey, Corbin, it is wild down here in the Carlton rooms. Nick Newman has been good enough to come over and join us. Congrats, mate. What a fantastic night for your footy club.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's really pleasing night for us. We've been through some tough times this year, and we felt like we've been playing some really good footy for the last 5 weeks, and it was a great opportunity to sort of test it against the best, and see that it stacks up, which is pleasing.
What does that mean to go out in front of 86,000 people to beat the top team that many thought were heading towards the premiership in a dominant fashion like you did, especially that second half when they really pushed you?
It's pretty satisfying. Obviously, top of the ladder team after arrival on Friday night doesn't get much bigger than that on a home and away season game. So, it's just as you can sort of probably feel in the rooms, it's pretty exciting, and there's a real buzz around here. So, it's pleasing.
Georgie Hewitt hasn't played that many games here at Carlton, but it feels like he's a real favourite of the group. The presentation, which just took place for his 150th. It feels like he's a really integral part of this group.
He is. Love Georgie. Me and him, I moved in with him when I first got drafted to Sydney, so we've had a bit of a journey together, and we were both sort of young, immature kids at Sydney, and now to sort of be on the opposite end as older players of the group, and I love him and love playing with him. He's just a no-fuss character, you know. What you see is what you get. He doesn't have social media, like he doesn't even know what's going on in the world, like. But everyone just loves him. He just works so hard, and he's such an honest person and a player, and he just fronts up every week for us, and just pumped that we could get a win for him and make his 150th memorable.
Beauty. I'll send you upstairs, Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse.
Nick, well done on the win and fantastic game yourself. Can I get the tricky one out of the way first, if you don't mind? Oh, we did notice up here in the box just a little bit of banter between you and Mason Cox early on in the game, and we believe we lip-read with Mason thinking he was very humorous, saying, "What number are you?" or number 24 or something like that. Can you take us inside that little bit of back and forth?
Yeah, mate, it's all a bit of friendly banter, as you know, Lingy. He didn't seem to know who I was, so he was just checking my number and asked me who I was. So thought he might have known my name after 100 games, but obviously he didn't. So it's all fun and games, mate.
I reckon he'll know your name after tonight. Second leading disposal winner on the ground, 27 touches. Had a few more than him, but we'll leave that for later. Just within the game, it felt like 8 minutes into the first quarter, Collingwood had all the play. They were all over you a little bit, and then you guys completely flipped it, and you stopped bombing the ball and Collingwood intercepting the ball and taking the ball off you. You were running it more. Just everything seemed to settle. Did you guys have to figure something out on the run in that first quarter, or was that just more the nerves of the game and you just had to actually settle into the game?
I don't think it was necessarily nerves. I think this game we play is full of momentum swings, and we're playing top of the ladder team. We knew they were going to have periods where the momentum was on their side, and it sort of felt like they had that for 7 or 8 minutes, as you said. And we've done a lot of work throughout the year around changing momentum and things we can do in terms of going back to how we play, and that was probably it. It was just going back to how we want to play and not playing into their hands. So I felt like we did a pretty good job of arresting momentum against one of the best teams that when they have a run on, they're pretty hard to stop.
You certainly did that so well, Nick. It feels like you want to play with that same sort of speed as Collingwood. Was that a bit of a thing, like instead of trying to take pace off the game tonight, let's actually go back through them a million miles an hour? Was that one of the big parts of leading into this game?
A little bit. We didn't speak too much about it. We feel like the way we've been playing the last 6 weeks been a bit more assertive on our defensive end. So we felt like we sort of came forward and stopped the ball a bit higher up the ground. And then I think when you do that, you get some good opportunities going back the other way, no matter who you play. And I think that's been a bit of a hallmark of our game the last 6 weeks. So, we had some good looks at it going back the other way tonight. But, we've got some dangerous players up forward. So we want to get it to them as quick as possible and as many one-on-ones as we can. So we probably felt like we were going a little bit slow at the start of the year, and we probably got the balance right.
Yeah, Nick.
Lately.
Yeah, well done. Fantastic game. Just take us back, say, to the end of last week. You had a massive win last week. When do you start to do your planning in regard to the type of style? Do you look at your style and just say we're going to hang in on our style, or do you look at your opposition and start to work on what you have to do to change their style?
Look, it's probably a little bit of both. We obviously played West Coast, and you sort of enjoy that win for a day. As you know, Mick, things move pretty quickly in this footy world. So, once we come in on the Monday, we sort of review West Coast, but we move pretty quickly onto Collingwood, especially with a 6-day break. And we knew sort of the style they wanted to play, and we want to try and limit that where we can. But at the same time, I thought Vossi and the coaching group and the leaders did a great job of this week just making sure that we play our way and our system versus their system, and we feel like it stacks up, and we showed that tonight. So a lot of the week was around how we play and what we're going to bring to the game.
Right. Just one brief one. Has it changed much from what you were told early in the season how you wanted to play? Because clearly the win-loss ratio is a lot different, but is there a marked difference now compared to what it was, say, before that run of 6 games? Let's go back 10 weeks ago. Was anything similar, or would you have to reinvent the way you wanted to play?
I wouldn't say we, had to reinvent things. I felt like we just had to tweak a few things.
Right.
Probably simplified a little bit. We were probably trying to do too many things well, and we just felt like we simplify things and get our main things we want to prioritise right, and then play with a bit of freedom. We could sort of turn things around, and I think we've done that. So yes, it wasn't necessarily reinventing the wheel, but we did have to change a few little things, and we feel like a couple of those tweaks have worked for us.
Enjoy these moments, Nick. Hell of a night for the Blue Baggers. Appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Nick Newman in the victorious Carlton rooms. The Blues home by 17 points. They're 5th on the ladder. Meanwhile, for Collingwood, it's just their 3rd loss on the year. They still sit 2 games of percentage clear on top. Of course, all that with the rest of the round still to play. Now, the Ashes, of course, is available through the ABC Listen app. Look out for the red cricket ball button. Khawaja out LBW for 47 to Broad. So the Aussies have lost a 2nd wicket. Labuschagne falling earlier in the day. So we've just gone to lunch. On the 2nd day, Australia 3 for 123, so still 160 behind England's first innings total, 7 wickets remaining. Meanwhile, in the NRL, the nightcap, it was the Melbourne Storm 46, Parramatta 16. Big win for the Storm across town at Docklands. And of course, you can follow along with the FIFA Women's World Cup through the ABC Listen app. Look out for the green and gold World Cup button throughout the tournament with a game a day. Shout out to Emma. She says, "Hi, Mum, all the way from Norway. Go the Blues. Missing watching games at the G." Nice to hear from you, Emma. Appreciate that off the SMS 0437 774 774. If you are listening to us on ABC Local Radio in most regional areas or on ABC Sport Digital, you are off to the cricket in a few moments' time. But not before the votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Cameron Ling.
No, the votes are up to me. I'm going to give one vote to Jacob Wiedering. I thought he was just superb all night. I think Mick, he had 10 intercept possessions, 6 marks from opposition. He almost could have got the 2 votes, but
he was good.
I think he was superb, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. And particularly when Collingwood come at them, he stood up.
Yep, 100%. We've given 2 votes to the man we just spoke to, Nick Newman. 27 disposals. He intercepted the ball, but I think what you were alluding to with some of your questions was he was up the ground more, played a role on Taylor Adams and came up with him to stoppages at time. When the Dacos boys spat out, he often had to cover them and got the balance between defence and attack outstandingly well. And I'll give 3 votes. You kick 6 goals in a big win against the best team in the competition. You're going to get the 3 votes. I will put a little asterisk and say a couple of those were lucky with free kicks, but he's still got 6 goals to his name. So Charlie Curnow gets the 3 votes.